This podcast brought to you by Digital Diamond Entertainment.
All right, Vex, run the intro.
So when am I getting paid for this?
Kind of like a podcast, sort of, but not really. Podcast-ish.
What's this ish? What do you mean ish? Oh, okay.
Some material may be inappropriate for children under 13.
Hey, welcome back to the Podcast-ish podcast, where every week we give you the facts, fiction, and twisted opinions on aspects of human behavior. We believe words are important, and the facts don't give a fuck about your feelings.
Yeah.
So sit back and strap in, because this week, the set goes in on mental illness.
Nice.
Mental disorder?
Mentally disturbed, at least that's what I am.
I think we're very, we're able to talk about this.
You know what? I don't know much about it, except for the fact that I've seen many mad people in my day. Like legitimate crazy people.
Oh, I just meant
So-
we're able to discuss this because us three are crazy.
Right, of course. we have personal experience, and by personal I mean we are mad.
We're nuts. Absolutely.
Yeah.
How are you guys this week, man? What's happening?
Oh Lord, it's been a week already, but it's been good.
My week has been. It's been long.
That's all you got?
Yeah, it seems like the whole year goes by fast until Christmas time, when you're really looking forward to that time off, and everything slows down. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So time has a way of messing with you, or maybe I'm just crazy. I don't know.
Have you guys got any time off for the holidays?
I do. I have 2 weeks off, give or take a day.
Paid?
Paid.
Fuck you. I don't. I know. No, so I think you know what? It's good. You work hard for it. You deserve it. What about you, Will?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. I go about 2 weeks off. Give or take a day. I think I'm back. I think the only days that I'm back is like New Year's Eve,
Okay.
and then
But they have you working New Year's Eve?
I don't do shit for New Year's Eve. Like I'm not one
I
that
hate New Year's
like,
too.
It feels weird that you're celebrating. Like there's only a few times when you personally celebrate a rotation around the sun. One being your birthday, one being New Year's, and I don't like. You think I don't like going out regularly? I don't like going out when people have an excuse to act like a fuck. You know,
Right?
Halloween,
And
no.
everybody else is gonna act like a fuck too.
That's
Yeah.
too bad because I'm
Well, that's what I
DJing
mean.
on New
Yeah.
Year's Eve.
Where are you at?
We're at
1600.
Oh yeah, I am coming up to that.
Yeah.
You're getting me tickets, right? I'm not paying.
No, you're not paying.
Okay.
You're just gonna come in free.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're not gonna get tickets. It's just VIP.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
maybe it's VIP, so I could I could chill in the cut.
Just
Yeah, you can
Have a
come and chill
couple
in the
drinks.
booth, do whatever you need.
All right.
Yeah, me and Shorty.
all right. That's
Absolutely.
That's all I'm asking for
All right,
because
let's
I want to
see.
get some food, a few drinks here and there,
Yeah.
and left out before midnight, like I always do.
No. You're staying until midnight because
When's the last time I stayed till midnight anywhere?
exactly, which is why you need to stay this time.
I don't think I need to, but I mean, if you're saying I can't get in unless I do,
Yeah,
I'll just lie to
yeah.
you and tell you I am.
John, it's midnight. Parnel is only 8:30.
Yeah. Well, I'm tired. I'm going to bed.
Midnight somewhere.
Oh, let's get intros out of the way. To my left, your right.
Yeah. This is John Vex, aka the gal them sugar, or maybe the caramel experience, depending on what your gal like.
Yeah.
You know, Darth Vapor.
I like that one. I still like that one.
Yeah, man, the Saga Boy. Right, for people who don't understand Trinidadian lingo, that means a fancy guy, ladies' man. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, he's not
Right.
talking about. He's not saying he's not a Mississauga boy.
Man,
Yeah,
listen,
it's just a Saga Boy.
ain't nobody know what you're saying.
Right?
I wouldn't be so liberal or so vigorous. What's the opposite of like when you do a lot? Use it a lot. Generous, whatever.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be so generous with the term fancy boy.
The
Right,
fancy boy means
exactly.
something
Yeah, I
completely
wouldn't,
different here than in Trinidad.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why I said it's not necessarily that. But anyway, that being said,
Is he saying he's? Yeah. No, go ahead.
right? The golden voice. Anyway, I'm done with my AKAs.
And to my right,
I'm Will Hayes, aka Mr. Inaccessible.
Michael Hutchins.
Will is on a rant lately, or been on a tear lately, going through people, and I think he's done. And I'm Parnel Ramlaw, aka Podcast P, aka Potty Mouth P, aka Yuck, aka Yoga Fire, aka
Fine.
Mr. Black. Oh shit, my phone's ringing.
You got to sing a song. You
We
got to
get
sing a
two
song.
intros this podcast.
Is he really like? Oh, it's Terry. We got to push pause. And we're back.
Okay, I guess
Dot,
we're back
yeah.
in.
Thank you for that commercial break.
AKA the Unruly Coolie. That's how it works.
Really?
Cool.
Yeah, see, I think we touched on it like a month ago, how we got to stop, or we got to make the intros a little different from all the podcasts.
Yeah, I feel like it's too much of the same.
Everything's bleeding
across
through.
the way. Yeah.
Gentlemen, some great news. This is something I've been waiting for since we started.
I know I'm getting my Jordans.
I know. This week. First of all, the Concord 11. Let's address this first.
Yes.
The Concord 11's released this Saturday. I'm not an 11 guy. Kobo ordered 2 pairs from me, so I'm getting those for him. I'm picking them up.
They are my white whales.
Yeah, you love them.
I love those.
Why are you
shoes.
only picking up 2 pairs? You should have. Well, I can probably get you more if you need. But.
Well, yeah, you probably could, but money's an issue sometimes.
Okay.
Right? Paying $700 for 2 pairs of shoes is a little exorbitant.
No, paying $720 for 2 pairs.
Well, sure.
Yeah, people are gonna think you're crazy. If they don't understand shoes like we understand shoes, it might be.
No, they don't have an appreciation for it.
Right. It's like art on your feet, I feel.
It is. And those are very nice works of art. Patent leather.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
Yeah. I think the only time I'll wear 11s is probably when I get married. It's been done lots, but I'll probably wear Brad 11s when I get married.
Yeah.
Because they're dope. On to my big news. This is, like I said, this is something I've been waiting for since the day we started. Actually, since the day before we released, since I kind of had the inception or had the idea of having a podcast. Can you guess what it is?
We have been banned from everything.
No business. Pardon me? We have been banned
from everything.
No, not
That's
yet.
my guess.
Actually, you know what? I'm surprised we haven't been banned from more things.
We haven't been banned from anything. The right people aren't listening yet.
Not yet.
We're not doing our job.
Not yet. This is what I've been waiting for. We have finally, after 6.5 months, gentlemen, got our first negative review.
Oh, really?
Oh, nice.
Yes.
What did they say?
And it's actually an official review. And I'm going to address this because this is what we do.
It's addressable. Yeah.
So, they still give us 2 stars. Fine. Okay. And the title is "It's Not Good." The hosts overestimate their knowledge of the subject to discuss and try way too hard to be edgy. Might be good for 4chan teens, but that's about it.
For what?
4chan teens.
That's racist. Like, she's talking like 4 Asian kids?
No, 4chan is it's a website now.
Is that what she's saying? It might be good for Asian kids?
No. 4chan was a website from back in the day. It's good for a bunch of crazy memes, and it gets real dark sometimes. And it's from somebody in America, the U.S., via Apple Podcasts, and they sent it to us 3 days ago. Just another nickname 11. So they weren't even brave enough to even put in their actual name.
Hey, it's all good. I can appreciate using an alias online because that is something that I personally do.
That's true.
And I think you're safer that way. That being said, thank you for your honesty.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Honestly, thank you for your honesty.
Right.
It's definitely less of a diss and more of a constructive criticism, which
now,
I will take it
all right,
as.
now I'm going to address it. In no way, shape, or form do we ever say that we are experts at any field that we talk about. This podcast is sincerely just to start a conversation and is a conversation between friends on the knowledge we have of the topics at hand.
And before even that,
why are you getting your knowledge from us?
What's the title?
It says it's not good.
In no way, shape, or form have we ever said that we were.
Exactly. It's like
nowhere in the title it says it's a good podcast.
we literally do this because it releases stress for me anyway.
Yeah.
This is like another way to blow off steam without going out in the streets. You know what I mean? Like, literally, I hit these guys up with a text at most a week before we record, and I say this is the topic. They can either do their due diligence or not. Either way, it doesn't matter because we're gonna have a conversation about what we know about the topic, and that's kind of where this podcast should be because I don't think we should be the experts. We're not we're literally starting a conversation, right? Anybody else can come on this podcast and correct us. That's fine.
Yeah.
We are men. We are okay. If we're wrong, we'll say we're wrong. But in no way, shape, or form have we ever said that we are experts. So, just another nickname 11. Thank you for your review. But if you're not even going to put your real name up or email us first or tell us what's going on, go to hell. Fuck you.
Oh, bye.
I got one.
Yeah.
Let me see this. Okay, so first of all, just another nickname 11. Hopefully that is just your regular like online moniker. Hopefully you didn't go through the steps of like setting up another Apple ID just so you could do that. Number one. Number two, thank you for your feedback. I mean, at the end of the day, it was an opinion. We give our opinions, so we definitely value your opinion of us.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make me come. It doesn't feed my belly or make me shit. But at the end of the day, if we're giving it to the people got to give it to us.
And for real, I mean, they still gave us 2 stars.
Yeah, and we still got 2 stars. And I mean, shit. We just may not be up her alley. I feel it's a woman.
Yeah.
She writes like a woman.
No, I think it's a guy.
No, that's a woman writing. And I wish they
No,
had
not many women on 4chan.
Her pussy probably got 1.5
Don't
stars.
start that.
Oh my!
Don't start that. No, don't start that.
Now here's the thing.
Talking about 4 Asian kids.
The only
This
thing
is
I
rude.
take exception to is the edgy comment. This is how we actually are.
This is exactly how we
absolute
are.
lunatics.
We are literally addressing
Like-
topics that are just in everyday society now. We're not
Yeah.
trying to be edgy at all. This is how we
Yeah.
talk.
I go out of my way to be edgy.
Yeah, you do.
Every
You
life.
do extra.
But that's just me.
But
It's not like I'm
Yeah,
going out
no,
of my
that-
way, but I go out of my way.
But no, here's the thing with
What?
I've known you for what 20 years.
About that.
You've
I gotta
always
get
been like that. Right? You've never been just the kind of guy to be like, oh, okay, cool, that's good, yeah. And let's analyze the situation now from a Jungian perspective. No. You're very right in there, right? You're very bombastic. Let's say that, right? Not to compare you to Shaggy, but
It wasn't me, fam.
but that
I was
being
thinking
said-
Dream Warriors. You're thinking Shaggy. I'm thinking Dream Warriors.
It shows you hip hop versus reggae. But that being said, I do appreciate any feedback we get. And I did want to. I know you addressed one thing there, Parnel. I did want to address something. One of your friends, actually, Karthik. On the last podcast, I said something. We were live, and he may or may not. I haven't heard either or. May have taken exception to something I said. I identify you as an idiot. That was the statement I made. Now, at the end of the day, I'm not trying to call him an idiot. What I was trying to do is illustrate how detrimental it is to go off of identification, self-identification or otherwise, right? If we go back to pre-1700 USA, blacks were identified as subhuman. Does that make it true? No, it doesn't.
And property.
Right? And property. They were identified as property. That does not make it true. It doesn't make it so. And it doesn't make it correct. So be very, very careful on the slippery slope of self-identification and forcing others to identify what your subjective identification might be. Anyway, that being said,
How are y'all finding out what everybody's saying about y'all? Like,
No, they-
how the fuck
he
y'all
actually-
finding out
it was-
this shit?
They literally. I get emails. We're on Chartable. We're actually charting on the charts. But
We're charting on the charts?
We're
Where else
charting.
would we chart?
We're charting on Chartable.
We're- okay, I'm leaving that one alone. I don't have the energy.
Yeah, and then everybody else is pretty much on Facebook or messages me or texts me, and I think Kobo actually gets a lot from my page or the live feeds or all that.
no,
stuff,
that
right?
was the live feed that he had said, right? Like he had.
Oh yeah, and I
Right,
said
yeah,
it. I said it right on the. I think I said it right on live.
Exactly,
yeah, okay.
right? So, I mean, if you're listening to it, you know what? No disrespect intended. I was trying to illustrate something.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing with Karthik, because he never really takes disrespect. He
Yeah.
he thinks just kind of like us.
Yeah.
Just he takes a more liberal stand, right? So
Right.
he's open and willing to take all criticisms, except when obviously you call him an idiot. I think he was kind of like, okay, time to get a little more serious now, right?
Yeah, no, I said I identify you as an idiot.
Right.
Right. And there was a reason I said those specific words. Right. So, and to be clear, I'm sure you're not an idiot. You know?
No,
and it's in no way, shape, an apology. It's just trying to illustrate a point.
Right.
So, anyway, enough said.
All right.
Also, keep in mind I'm mad.
Yeah, he means crazy by that.
Yeah.
Will, you got anything to address before we take care of housekeeping here?
Just shout out to everybody listening. I mean, at the end of the day, even if you don't like us,
100,
you actually
100,
had to have
100.
listened to not like us. So I mean, shoot, there must. I mean, I don't know if you listen to the whole. If you listen to the whole episode, something must have kept you. So everybody that listens, everybody that likes us, I want to let everybody know that you will no longer be able to see me on Facebook ever. I am not accessible to humans anymore.
I'm
Only
human.
to the gods.
Unfortunately, I'm not accessible. You have my phone number, and you can text me anytime.
You got Willie STB still.
Yeah, and that's like it's moderated and automatic replies, and I don't even get the notifications for the messages on that. I'm completely inaccessible to humans. I deleted my Snapchat. I shut off people being able to reply to my Instagram stories, like unless they friends and shit like that. And I'm going through it, so I'm deleting all my friends off the personal Facebook. All right. And family too.
You know, I think that's good. We're kind of we've been kind of thrust into this position. Yes, we did it to ourselves, whereas we're now kind of media. We're in the spotlight. We're kind of the face of this podcast, and you, Will, being the face of Digital Diamond Entertainment. the overseer of this podcast. That's one of the things I think you should probably do.
I understand what you're saying. You cannot call me an overseer. It really
Yo,
that hits
Fallout 4, man.
No, listen, you are responsibility.
I'm not riding around on a horse with a shotgun and a whip.
Okay, listen.
Back of my neck is not red. I'm not an overseer.
All right. What I'm saying is,
officer.
being
being
co-owner of a business, we have to. Sometimes we're too accessible. It creates tensions and things and negativity we really don't need in our lives. So I think that's a good step. I'm still accessible 100 million %. Kobo has never been accessible.
I'm somewhat accessible to people who know how to find me.
Right.
So show up at the studio.
Yeah. So listen, I do, like I said, I do appreciate all you guys' comments and all your everybody listening, and all your guys' reviews. That being said, if you do like the show or if you don't like the show, again, go on to wherever you listen to the podcast, review us, rate us. That's the best way to help the podcast, regardless of what kind of review it is. Yeah. It helps us get seen, helps us create sponsors, helps us find and build things for the studio that we need, right? This isn't a hobby. This is something that we are taking seriously. So let's keep it that way, guys. Rate, review us. Please do that. Please listen every week. Share all the Facebook posts or share the live feeds or share the
dead feeds, whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
share the post, share the podcast with your friends, family, everybody.
Share the food.
Please share the food.
We're having a potluck next week if you could cook.
Yeah,
and we're not bringing nothing. You got to bring it all.
There's a kitchen here and everything. If you could cook, we having a potluck.
It's true.
I don't eat pork.
They bring all pork.
Bring all
the pork so I can eat it.
Exactly.
Yo, you can bring all the pork. If you bring pork, then I'll be sitting in your house. I will destroy your.
There's only pork in my house too.
Just pork in your house. No, I'm talking about your commode.
You're not coming to my place to shit, dog.
Yeah. You know that skit with what's his name? Dave Chappelle had that shit that looks different in slow motion skit.
Oh yeah, the tip flying out.
Yeah, the tip flies out, or the thing. There's one where he's taking a shit and it's just regular shit. And he's like, oh, but look at it in slow motion, and it blows out and he just launches him off the motherfucking off the toilet and everything. Yeah, that's you. If I eat pork, and it's in your house.
Is that what happened when we ordered pizza?
Real life. Yeah, it was fucked up.
Oh, that's gross.
I got home.
Okay, on to other things because I can't handle this conversation.
Why would you ask me?
I didn't expect that answer. I should have, but I didn't.
Will, you should.
I led into it.
All right, shut up. So
I gave you the answer before you asked the question.
So
what were you expecting?
We posted a poll on Facebook on the Podcast-ish podcast group and on the page, and it was shared a few times, asking what is depression with two very generic answers. One was A, a mental disorder, or B, a feeling you get. Surprisingly, I thought this would go a lot, well, not much different, but I thought it would be almost 100% a mental disorder.
Right.
So as of now, we're looking at 80% mental disorder and 20% feel it's a feeling you get.
But you know what's funny about that?
Here's the thing. I posed a question for a reason. I chose those two answers for a specific reason because they're both correct. It's almost a false answer.
Yeah.
Right? Or they're almost false answers. Almost a trick question. I didn't mean to trick you guys. I just want to see exactly where you guys kind of stood. And I did get some engagement on the post.
I think we have more people that commented that is
right.
It's more than just those two things, and we have people that actually chose.
Right, and I guess
dope.
It's still. I mean, we get a lot of engagement on it, and I was trying to respond to as many people as I could. I couldn't. Couldn't respond to anybody. I just didn't have the time or the energy because I figured we're going to get into it tonight anyway, right? So the reason I said it's a mental disorder or a feeling you get is because, yes, you could have chemical dependencies or chemical imbalances in your brain and it'd be a mental disorder.
Yeah.
Or you could just have feelings or
be down.
Be a little down and
it's
have
raining,
it be a
it's been
feeling.
raining for a week. You'd feel down.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's two ways to go about this, right? I know a lot of people will say that mental illness. Actually, you know what? Let me read the. Do you want to go Wikipedia?
You can say like this. All depression is a feeling that you have. At the same time, the feeling you have is not always depression. It could be a mental disorder.
Absolutely.
Because if you're depressed, you feel depressed. So it's always going to be a feeling you have, but it could be caused by a multitude of different things.
Right. I'm going to read the overview of what mental illness is from the mayoclinic.org website. The overview is mental illness refers to a wide range of mental health conditions, disorders that affect your mood, thinking, and behavior. Examples of mental illness include depression, anxiety disorders, schizophrenia, eating disorders, and addictive behaviors. Many people have mental health concerns from time to time, but a mental health concern becomes a mental illness when ongoing signs and symptoms cause frequent stress, and affect your ability to function. So pretty much what Will just said.
Right.
A mental illness can make you miserable and can cause problems in your daily life, such as at school or work or in relationships. In most cases, symptoms can be managed with a combination of medications and talk therapy, so psychotherapy. I believe that seems like it's fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
I think what I wanted to get into on this podcast is what actually is a mental illness. How are we going to be able to, I guess, overcome mental illnesses in society and deal with the ones that aren't treated medically? Right. That's kind of I want to get into that. So maybe,
well, if it's not treated medically, would it still be considered illness?
No. So what it is, if it's not, it's considered a mental concern.
Yeah, so let's
mental health concern.
Yeah, so let's make sure that we keep that separated.
Right,
then.
right. So I'm going to give you some symptoms, examples of signs and symptoms of mental illness.
You're gonna fuck your whole life up right now.
All right. So feeling sad or down,
Okay.
confused thinking or reduced.
This is all mental illness or mental concern?
This is mental illness.
Okay, so before we even start, what, like, it seems like this is really just taking a snowball and throwing it down
1,000,000%.
Griswold thing. So is there any stipulations? Like, these are some of the signs that you may have a mental illness if you answered yes to 10 or more of these questions and it's lasted longer than such and such time period?
Well, that's the thing, is they don't have an actual a time scale or a feeling scale or a behavior scale. They have nothing with that, right? So this is all based on how someone would feel and for how long they're feeling it.
And it's not onset by anything. So it's feeling sad or down out the blue. Nothing to trigger it.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't say that.
Well, I
it
mean,
could be a trigger too, right?
Because I watched those Sarah McLachlan commercials with the dogs and stuff.
And you feel sad and down after seeing that.
100%.
I think what I mean by that is that, guys come home from war and they have PTSD, whatever it is, right? That's a mental illness.
But that was onset
by something, right? However, some guys don't even get affected until 20 years after, right? So, and you never know where it could come from at that case. So it could be something that just triggers them, right? I think that's where I'm coming from on that point.
Like non-vets. I know where you're coming from. I'm wondering, like, does the website
and this is Mayo Clinic. These are people who are leading the industry in cancer research, in mental health research, things like this.
Is there any like Canadian or any like Swiss clinics that don't collect money off diagnosis that we could read off of?
We probably can. I just want to give you the symptoms. There probably is. Let me just read you the symptoms.
You want to
okay?
read Pfizer's next?
If you're having trouble getting a hard on,
take all of these pills. Side effects is impotence.
So what?
Took a minute, didn't it?
So signs and symptoms of mental illness can vary depending on the disorder, circumstances, and other factors. So they're being very general here. Mental illness symptoms can affect emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. So everything. So the examples, signs, and symptoms: feeling sad or down, confused thinking or reduced ability to concentrate, excessive fears or worries, or extreme feelings of guilt, extreme mood changes of highs and lows.
Yeah.
Right, but you don't know what the extremes are. Withdrawal from friends and activities.
Extremes, highs and lows, and I know this because I know a lot of people in my family, and sometimes I think myself at sometimes do suffer from manic. Yeah. And it's either manic or manic depression. Right. So there's periods of time where you're extremely happy. Right. There's no medium to when you get extremely down. Yeah. I think that's what they mean by extreme highs and lows. There's no bell curve.
Between, yeah.
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying because my sister has been diagnosed with bipolar. I hope she doesn't mind me saying that. She's thrown it on social media, so I'm sure she's fine with it. And you can see just in reading her posts how it affects you on a huge swing. Right, it's not just this little, I'm sad. Okay, I can be happy. I can smile. It's not that, right? It's something a lot more detrimental, right? So some more signs are significant tiredness, low energy, or problems sleeping, detachment from. So pretty much, if you wake up and you're tired, or if you have trouble sleeping, so pretty much on both sides.
Okay, yeah.
That's weird.
I have both symptoms.
Right, so detachment from reality, so delusions, paranoia, or hallucinations. Get off that PCP. Inability to cope with daily problems.
PCP? What is it, 96?
Yeah.
Do people still do PCP?
I don't know.
Sure, they can do anything that gets them high.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Inability to cope with daily problems or stress. Trouble understanding relating to situations and to people. Alcohol or drug abuse.
That's true. Yeah.
No.
A lot of yeah, it is.
They call it a mental illness.
No, not they're not saying
that's a symptom of it.
That's a symptom of
Yeah.
it. So that means because
Absolutely.
of what you may be experiencing, you
You're
may
gonna
be
go on
trying
some
to
drugs,
go on
yeah.
to
Major
the,
changes in eating habits, sex drive changes, excessive anger, hostility, or violence, or suicidal thinking.
some of these things now I guess drug. Yeah, keep going. Sorry.
Right. No, I agree with most of those, except for I guess I say significant tiredness, significant low energy, or significant problem sleeping. So,
Well, if you go for a week, and let's say you go for a week and you get a steady 8 hours every day, but your body and your mind is just dead to the world,
yeah.
right.
and you don't have mono, you may be depressed. You may have something that's going on in your head.
Right.
And you don't feel depressed. Sometimes depression isn't just you're not feeling like Eeyore.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I think my major
So Eeyore was a mad donkey.
Eeyore was depressed. Eeyore was depression. Piglet was hyperactive disorder.
No, that was Tigger. Sorry.
Tigger was hyperactive disorder. Piglet was anxiety, and I think Pooh was can't remember what Pooh was, but the dude wrote all of them. He wanted to write a book about the bear that he saw in the Little Pig Zoo.
Yeah.
And then B, he wanted to write a book about people's inner
Demons kind of thing.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, it goes pretty deep.
Huh.
Now, the only issue I have, I guess, is this one little paragraph where it says when to see a doctor. Right? It says if you have any signs or symptoms of mental illness, see your primary care provider or mental health specialist. Most mental illnesses don't improve on their own, and if untreated, a mental illness may get worse over time and cause serious problems. I agree with half of that. I agree with seeing somebody, but it doesn't tell you when to see somebody. There's no scale. There's no measurement to it, right? There's no ability to have self-reflection or have self acknowledgement of what is going on, and granted, some of these things you won't know. You may just be feeling this way your whole life and not know what's going on, so you think it's normal. I get that. So maybe see your doctor if you have any of these symptoms. Though I think is going a little far.
I think
suicidal thoughts, definitely. If you have suicidal thoughts, definitely see somebody. Call 911.
If you're hallucinating something, then
listen,
definitely
even better. If you're having suicidal thoughts, hit me up on Facebook, hit me on my phone, anywhere.
I don't think that would be better than 911.
I'll sit there and I'll text. I'll call somebody. I'll talk to them at 4 o'clock in the morning. It wouldn't be the first time.
I think just killed my joke. I think actually when it said
fuck your joke.
I understand. I agree with you.
All right.
Maybe just going to see a doctor if you feel anything's maybe going too far. But in the same thing, in the same sentence, I'm like, fuck it. If we live in Canada and we have free healthcare, why not, if you go through this and like this may be one of the symptoms, why not go see a doctor? Because A, you can have that peace of mind where the doctor's like, no, you're fine. You just had a bad day at work. You're not wasting anybody's time.
Yeah.
And B, if it happens to be something, and they don't, because in Canada, they're not just right off prescribing drugs. They may prescribe talking to a psychiatrist, talking to a psychologist, talking to someone. They may give you a pamphlet for meetings that are happening in your area.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I say fuck it. If you have the opportunity and you even see one of these symptoms and you even have any doubt that maybe, because if you're looking at these symptoms and you're like, oh, I just had a bad day, then you're probably not thinking I should go see a doctor unless you're a hypochondriac. And at that point, if you're a hypochondriac, I can't tell you not to see a doctor. You probably have already while we're having this conversation.
Yes, and the doctor's telling you you're a hypochondriac.
Exactly. So I don't think they could say that. I think they could just be like, oh, nothing's wrong with you. And then they talk with the doctor friends. But
and point.
But I'm like, fuck it. Like, if we have the ability in Canada for free healthcare, we have the ability to go to a walk-in clinic at any point, give her a health card, and not spend any money unless we need to get a prescription. Take advantage of it. If you read through these, everything that we said, and you have the slight inkling that you think you may, why not? Because at the end of the day, if you can talk to somebody, and you may find something that may before the onset of it getting bigger.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. I agree with that. The only issue, like I said, I'm going back to this, and I don't mean to harp on it, but we need to learn how to self-regulate how bad or what our emotions are telling us first and foremost, right? I understand, but
it's true.
And the reason I'm saying that is because we live in a pussy society right now. We live in a society that will take the littlest thing and attribute that to a mental illness or attribute that to some other thing affecting them that they have no control over.
Yeah, no, it's that whole
I'm not,
going on to Google and trying to diagnose yourself and say, oh shit, Google tells me I have cancer.
Right. I mean, it's not. and let me be absolutely clear. I'm not saying don't go see a doctor. If you feel that you have a mental illness, please go see a doctor. Figure it out before you Google.
Don't.
but also
WebMD shit.
But also don't just think you have something because somebody says, "Oh, I had those symptoms." You might want to get that checked, or learn how to self-regulate. Learn how to just
don't. I understand.
Because
I understand what you're saying.
You know yourself better than anybody, right? So
no, you don't. You don't, and that's why we have it. So I agree with you.
No,
I agree with the point you're getting across.
Right.
But the thing is, we don't know ourselves better. That's why people with true mental illnesses can't do anything about them by themselves or go for so long with them.
Right. So let me finish what I was saying. Myself, I know my mental state and my body than a doctor knows myself. As just any doctor I'd walk into, right? He may know the biology of it and the chemistry, whatever going on in my body, but I know how I feel regularly, and I know how I feel almost on a daily basis, right? And if that changes, I may get sad for a day or whatever. I may be exuberant for a day, right? But I know if that continues on for an extended period of time, whether that be 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, whatever it is, it's not in the regular.
It's not,
it's not my regular path. I know there's something wrong.
Yeah,
I think people are jumping to the conclusion a little too quickly, maybe.
But there's a difference between jumping to the conclusion and then self-diagnosing, and then jumping to the conclusion and going to see a professional.
Yeah. No, I get that. I'm not saying don't go.
I'm saying 100% jump to conclusions. If you're the type of person to jump to conclusions, but don't jump to the conclusions and then walk around saying, and that's your excuse. Oh, that's okay.
Don't hit WebMD.
Yeah, it's just, don't even hit WebMD. Don't continue to be a dick and be like, oh, it's because I'm bipolar. No, Jane, you're an asshole. Like, if you jump to conclusions, your next jump should be to someone professional. So if you work for a job and the job does not provide benefits,
right,
as a responsible adult, you should be paying for Blue Cross.
Yes.
Now,
What are you trying to say? I'm not responsible?
I don't know. Are you paying for Blue Cross? I don't know your business.
No.
You should be paying for Blue Cross, especially for you and especially for the youngin.
For the youngin's covered, not for me.
Okay, you should, fam. You should. That will save. Blue Cross can save your life. There's a lot of things in the free healthcare of Canada that's not free healthcare in Canada.
Oh, I know.
But that's tangent.
We always go on tangents.
And I'm trying my hardest not to today. You know what I'm saying?
I know, I saw that. And you're speaking very politely too. I like that.
Because the bad review. So you should be paying for Blue Cross. Now, I can't remember how much it is, but under Blue Cross, you have a certain number of counseling visits that are covered. Mm-hmm. And then if it needs to be extended, if you have Blue Cross, it could be subsidized under Blue Cross, so it's lesser, and depending on your benefits from work. Now, in the amount of days that you go to counseling, if you jump to this conclusion and you say that you know how your mind reacts better than anybody else, right? But have you ever been to counseling? Yeah. And I mean, psychiatric counseling?
Yes.
And psychologists and stuff like that? Yeah. I was court mandated too, and it was the best thing that ever happened.
Oh, it's been, I recommend it to everybody.
And I did not know myself until I talked to somebody who taught me how to know myself.
Interesting.
I didn't know all the fucked up things, all the reasons that I did what I did, and I really shouldn't have stopped going. But all the things that I did, why I thought, how I thought, not just regular thoughts, but just how my patterns were, and reasons why my anger triggers, outside of pseudo shit, right? I found out why this happens, and it helped me to know me. It helped me to, so I can be like, if I'm feeling down,
right,
I'm just down. I may not know why I'm down, but I know this feeling is going to pass. Mm-hmm. And I know how to talk to myself to know it's going to pass. And then if it still doesn't pass, then I know, okay, so maybe I need someone to help me pass it. Right? And I think that if you have jumped to the conclusion, but definitely at any point, if you feel, even with medical reasons, if you feel like you're having a heart attack, go to the doctor. You know, even if you're not.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? If you feel
I understand exactly what you're saying. And let me just jump into a little story of why I chose the topic, this topic for this week.
Is it the limp? And you keep yelling "dum dum de there."
No. So as both you guys know, me and you had a conversation, just a man-to-man conversation. You're like, "Yo, are you okay?"
It was deep as fuck.
Because I was drinking.
I didn't think we was going to go.
Because I was drinking every night. I was podcasting, and it got to the point where I wasn't being myself almost. And you recognize that. You recognize that in me before I recognize that, right? But I also knew I was drinking too much. I was taking too many liberties, right? And I knew it could get bad knowing my history.
And it's not even that. It's, dog, I don't think you notice it, but we, like, me and you've known each other for umpteen years, but we just reconnected. And I don't know if you notice it, when you get comfortable with somebody, you give them your safe word, so to speak. Your warning signs, your this, that, and the third.
Yeah, right.
And without consciously saying, yo, if I do this, watch out for this. But in conversations, you give the, if you see me like this,
There's a problem.
there's a problem. So
Yeah.
niggas that care about you notice that shit. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly, and that's the issue. I think you know, when I was drinking too much, and it got to that point, you're like, yo, are you okay? And I had to actually sit back and evaluate it. And then I had to put out. I did my Morning Pee podcast, and I addressed it on that.
I still feel bad I haven't listened to it yet.
Right, because that's my therapy on it, right? So I talk myself through it, and I can realize what I was doing. Okay, let's maybe slow down. And I said I was going to stop drinking December 1st. I'm having a drink right now. But I think I'm going to stop January 1st because, goddamn.
Because December's are right off.
Goddamn.
But my thing is like, dog,
You know what I mean?
I didn't think you weren't drinking too much.
No, but for me,
you were
it
drinking
was.
not too much, more.
Yeah, I was drinking more which
than what you
for
usually
me
drink.
is
and
too
for
much.
you, yeah, exactly.
Right.
So when niggas see that, like, okay, let me close the door.
And
talk
that's
to my
another
nigga.
thing I want to address for mental illnesses. Maybe people don't have people in their lives that can see that and can recognize that and steer them towards a better direction. Right. I feel blessed and privileged that I have people in my life that are able to recognize that. Right. It wasn't affecting my work. It wasn't affecting anything like that. But it could have got to the point.
People need to know. Okay, so I need to say this, and this is gonna sound misogynistic. This is gonna sound fucked up, but fuck it, I'm gonna say that. It's gonna sound a little racist too.
You are racist.
I love
Go
all
ahead.
of them.
But men, and men of color specifically,
Don't talk to each other.
need to drop their fucking ego,
Right.
Drop
Yep.
this pride shit they have,
Yep.
and talk to each other or talk to somebody. A nigga will go to suicide.
36 minutes.
A nigga will go to
Took 36 minutes for that to come out.
a nigga. Before I said nigga,
Yeah, we getting there. Okay.
30 minutes before.
Eventually, 36 minutes.
Nigga.
All right, so eventually we're gonna get to an hour.
Was this a mandate? Am I supposed to stop?
No, I just
Was it a comment?
No, well, no. I'm trying to gently nudge us away from that.
Oh, a black man,
Men of color.
a man of color, a niggas. But they will go a negroid.
Jesus Christ! Podcast done.
a colored feller. No, but no. In all honesty, people of color and especially males will go to suicide or murder suicide or double murder suicide before they just talk to somebody about
Right.
how they feel.
Right.
And as a black man who has gone over the edge a few times, and that edge wouldn't have been crossed if I wouldn't have sat down and said, "This is how I feel. Somebody please help me understand
And
why
we
I feel
need
this way."
we need to start recognizing the warning signs.
I haven't killed
and
nobody, though.
the
That's
warning
not my point.
the warning words that our friends use, right? If you grew up with somebody, you know that man. Regardless
Yeah.
if you want to play the pause game or whatever, that's your man's. Right?
That's
there's
not a pause game.
there's nothing homophobic or there's nothing emasculating about talking to your friend about how his emotions are, right? There's certain things you need to do to be a man. And let's talk about that real quick.
Well, hold on. Before you guys talk about that.
All right.
I did have a question because both you guys have gone for counseling.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But I would not consider what you experienced a mental illness. So
No,
at what
no.
point does it cross from, okay, in your experience, Parnel, from I'm drinking a lot now, is it a problem now, or is it maybe I'm just being a little too excessive, I need to ease off the
No,
gas?
before we
it's-
even go
it's
there, look up the because we know mental. Look up the definition for illness, and once we have the definition for illness, I think illness would be a prolonged effect of something.
Yeah,
so you can
prolonged
have
problem,
a mental issue,
a disease.
but if it keeps,
Illness, a disease or period of sickness affecting the body or mind.
period of sickness. So you can
Right.
say it's a mental illness.
Could be an hour, could be a
Yeah.
week, could be
Yeah.
10 years. We don't know. It's just
and
a
all
period.
depending on what it is.
Right.
Mental illness is I think mental illness is a very needed gray area. There's
Yeah,
a gray area
it's
that
very
that's
nebulous,
where
you know,
the gray area
and
needs.
here's
yeah.
the other thing I
Let me address your first question first.
Yeah.
It wasn't to the point where I knew, like, I didn't go to therapy just for the extra drinking here, right?
Right.
But I knew if I carried along that road, it could lead to something extreme.
Yeah.
Just because of my past, right? I know
Yeah.
who I am as a person. I know I've been able to be very introspective and know who I am.
Yeah.
That being said, while I was drinking while doing the podcast, I wasn't able to recognize that. So
Right.
I needed somebody to point that out to me.
Right.
For me to actually say, okay, take a second, take a step back. and it took me it took me a few days because I realized that I was getting a little more cranky.
Right.
I was doing like the kind of a little more mood swings.
Right.
Knowing I could go back into what I was, but I always told myself I'm never going back there. Right. So that was a choice for me.
Yeah.
And
right.
P-
So that's not a mental illness. That was me
Yeah.
recognizing something detrimental could happen because of my personality.
And P's like me, I think. If I'm wrong, P, please keep me honest. When I start to feel something that I don't like, and I'm a man who just recently in his feelings, just recently in his 30s, understood what my feelings were.
Yeah.
I would have feelings of sadness and my brain wouldn't be able to comprehend it, and it would turn into anger.
Yeah.
I'd have feelings of jealousy. My brain wouldn't comprehend it. It turned into anger. I've had feelings of happiness.
Yeah.
My brain wouldn't comprehend it and turn it into sadness, which turned it into anger. Like, it was really weird. Like, my brain, it took a long time in my life to take, and it had to do with a lot of alcohol, a lot of womanizing, a lot of drugs, a lot of stuffing shit down.
Yeah.
And all that, right? So, P's like me, where it's like sometimes if you're feeling something, and you don't know what you're feeling.
If you're feeling off.
Yeah, you're feeling off, but it's not. You're not
sad,
feeling.
you're not
feeling
sad,
off.
happy,
It's like,
anything. There's no
but you
emotion
think
to
you're
it.
off, and it's just like maybe you're a little bit worried about something.
Yeah.
But then that feeling's hitting you, like, what the fuck? And then subconsciously, you're just diving more and more into the things that you have that remind you of the happy feeling. And for me, drinking reminds me of the happy feeling. I'm always happy when I'm drunk.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking as much before because not too long ago I had an experience where I got too drunk and there was no more happy feeling.
Right.
And there's a lot of bullshit that happened with that, right? So, but I think P's like that. So that's how I noticed too, because I can see it in myself, where it's like, okay, there's a little bit more. You're not acting weird. You're not acting funny. You're not acting sporadic or anything like that. But I noticed that before we start drinking, we're having conversations where it might be a little bit on the deep side, and you might be probing the water to see where the deep water is. Then we start drinking, and then it's
it gets
gone.
stupid, yeah.
Yeah, right? It doesn't even go to the back thing. I'm like, okay. And then added to, I listen to my friends. I listen to the people I love. You know what I'm saying? And there's no pause in that shit. I love my dudes. You dig what I'm saying? So I almost said it again. And my thing is like this. I'm always going to be the person that loves my dudes. So I pay attention.
Right.
Even though it seems like I'm always all over. I pay attention to what my dudes say. I pay attention to what my dudes do.
Yeah.
Because there could be a time in our lives where one of us saves another person's life
without that person even recognizing it themselves.
Yeah.
What were you trying to get to before Will went on a tirade there?
No. And that
Was that
you
a
know what,
tirade?
Now you're good.
I appreciate the quote unquote tirade.
Yo,
No, the
what-
other thing is
He just
this, right?
hijacks the podcast.
So I mean, I had an experience when I was
Have another drink.
when I was 21, right? One of my good friends, who I shall not mention his name, was diagnosed with being bipolar. Right. So, long story short, he was a guy that I used to hang out with all the time, and due to some of the choices of friends he made, I figured, you know what, this is not the environment I want to be in.
Right.
So I hadn't talked to him for about 6 months, and then one evening his mother calls my mother, and she's saying, well, yeah, he hasn't eaten in 2 days, he hasn't slept in 2 days, he hasn't come out of his room in 2 days, he refuses to talk to us. The next day, he shows up at my house.
Right.
Walked from his house to my house,
Right.
which is about a 2-hour walk. And middle of March.
So
I think
cold.
it was cold, right? And he showed up in a t-shirt and jeans, right? Kind of, I could tell he was a little off. And it was the weirdest experience because his parents ended up taking him to the hospital, taking him to see a doctor, and he was diagnosed with being bipolar.
Right.
Now, he was completely unaware that he was bipolar. Right? So, now this to me is kind of to bring it back full circle. You recognize there was something off, right? Will recognize there was something off. I sincerely believe that if you
recognize there's something off,
then you're not actually
there's not. So
mad.
you know what? The same thing. So I've always
Well, that's
had
not necessarily. Hold on one second. That's not necessarily true. Just hold on one second. Because there's people I know that know, like a schizophrenic won't know they're schizophrenic.
Yeah.
But there's people that are depressed that know they're depressed, that haven't seen a doctor to get diagnosed as depressed.
But do they know that they're depressed,
Absolutely.
or do they just think?
Absolutely. When you're depressed,
do they
you know.
Okay, but because when you're depressed, and I mean, I'm really trying to. Okay.
You're trying to be politically correct.
No, I'm not trying to be
No.
politically correct. I'm trying to explain it without pulling in real life examples. So
Right.
when you're really, really depressed, you don't know that you're depressed. You just know that you're feeling down.
Well, that goes
And
to that goes to
anytime-
the awkward behavior and things that we were talking about, right?
Yeah, but I mean like
I was trying to bring this around because
Yeah.
before you touch on that, that's the reason that I knew something was off, because I was feeling down and I was substituting that with liquor.
right, but you weren't. That wasn't depression.
No.
that could have been just your.
But that was my.
You're off kilter.
I think what's qualified as mild depression, right? So I don't.
Oh,
need,
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
need.
yeah.
I don't need therapy for it. I don't need medication for it. I just needed self-realization and
but
to get over
that
that. Right?
wouldn't. But I don't think. Now, in my opinion, I don't think that feeling was the mental illness.
Yeah,
or
you're
whatever.
not-
I'm
you're
just
not
gonna say.
mentally-
I'm
yeah.
gonna say mental illness is a blanket statement.
Yeah.
But I don't think that feeling was a mental illness. I feel like what your brain told you to cope with it was the mental illness.
Well, that was the effect of the illness for sure.
No, that was the illness because your brain is saying this is how you feel. You need to drink. So, and I only say that based off example.
Okay.
So I don't feel like I feel like the detriment wasn't how you were feeling. The detriment was what you were feeling told you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why there's such a gray area in mental illness because sometimes the mental illness isn't the feeling.
You're talking
it's the
cause,
reaction.
You're talking
to it.
cause and effect. So it's like there was maybe something that I was feeling, and to substitute to get rid of that feeling, I was self-medicating.
But it's not even like you were self. But it's not even like you were consciously
self-medicating. The medication was my brain telling me I have to do that.
Yes.
Subconsciously.
Subconsciously.
I understand that.
And you're just and we're just in a social environment where you're
Right.
like, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. But it's not
Well, now obviously,
thinking like that.
yeah,
you know?
obviously that's not going to be medically recognized, right? I
Yeah.
think it's a good point to
That's
bring
just
up.
that's
it's
my
a great
opinion.
opinion to have, right? And I think
And that's a small brush on a small piece of French. Nope. Fence. Not
say it again.
a small brush on a small piece of fence. I'm not saying that applies for the whole gamut.
Oh,
just
absolutely.
that one's
And that's
specific situation.
That's the thing about mental illness is because it's such a wide-ranging topic and such a widespread reasons and things that can get into it, symptoms and such, that you never know what could be considered mental illness. Now, this being so general, let's try and specify a little bit.
See, now that you touched on a good point there, right? Before you specify, something like ADHD, for example,
Right.
Is that considered a mental illness?
I consider it's completely. I think ADHD is completely false.
It
Right?
depends on who.
Can I give you my breakdown on ADHD?
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Before you give the breakdown, because ADHD and ADD back in the 90s was something I had never heard of before I came here, right? In the Caribbean, if your child is acting up and not paying attention, they get beat.
Yeah.
And guess what? They stop acting up and start paying attention very quickly.
Right.
Right? So I guess my real question is this. Are we overly prescribed? Are we overly diagnosed?
Yeah.
Is the profession going out of its way to say, oh, this small change in behavior,
Hey,
this
I think with
this difference in,
ADHD, for sure.
behavior, even but as an example, but yeah, ADHD as an example, but in general, right? Something that might be kosher in one culture, coming to North America, people would be like, yo, you have a problem.
Well, I'll tell you this:
Right.
Pfizer doesn't sponsor the Mayo Clinic for nothing.
Right.
Right. Pfizer is one of the main medical.
But they make drugs.
Yeah, they're a major pharmaceutical company, right? They sponsor most of the studies and all this stuff, and they study. They may have a hand in that.
There's an antidepressant. I can't remember what it is, but I watched CNN, and that's the fucked up thing about the States too. I think no, keep going because I have a tirade. Go.
Yeah.
So ADHD for me, I don't necessarily feel like ADHD is a mental illness, and let me explain that before I get hate mail. ADHD is like what Kobo said, right? If your kid is too hyper, they say it could be screen time, it could be whatever. I think I had ADD when I was a kid. I was never prescribed anything. I wasn't hyper. I was bored.
Yeah.
I was finding ways to entertain myself.
Yeah.
And finding ways to be seen.
Yeah.
Because my parents didn't have the time nor the energy to keep up with me because they were always working.
Yeah.
Right? My energy was spent on getting in trouble, on acting up in class, on doing a bunch of things I probably shouldn't have been doing at that age, right?
Yeah.
We're talking from 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, right? Not having the ability or the mindset to be able to express how I was feeling or why I was doing that, not having the cognitive ability to do that, right?
Yeah.
So kids will just act up. When a kid is prescribed medication at 2 or 3 years old because they're acting up or they're being over hyper or something like that, and I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I don't know the whole medical reasons behind ADHD. They say it could be a chemical imbalance. From what I understand, it's kids being hyper, right? And that could be completely false. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm about to.
Right. And what I'm saying is, for me, they said I had ADD, but for me it was just I was bored.
This is the 80s, right?
No, yeah, sorry.
This is the 80s.
This,
The
yeah,
80s, 90s.
early 90s, 80s. I know there's been a lot more
They did
studies
the
since
same-
then,
yeah, they
right?
did the same
So
thing to my little
like I said,
brother,
my mindset could be completely wrong, and please correct me if I am wrong.
Well, you're right and you're wrong. My little brother, this is from 2 personal experiences, right?
Okay.
So it could differ for anybody, but my little brother, same thing. They thought he had ADHD or ADD or this is in the 80s. And my mom, not knowing any better because she had children young, said, okay, well, if this is going to, because it wasn't even like he was hyperactive. It was, my brother was off. He was different.
Yeah.
You just, when you spoke with him, his thought process, you're like, okay. And then that's the doctor prescribed him. This is before the hyperactive. They're like, oh, he's just ADHD. And they prescribed my brother Ritalin, but it was like an elephant's dosage of Ritalin.
Right.
So my mom had him on these pills for like maybe a few weeks, maybe a month or something like that, or however long it takes for them to kick in and then to see the results or whatever.
Yeah.
And she took him off without even talking to the doctor. She's like, this is not my son.
Right. Yeah.
This is not, the personality of this child is not my son. Even
Yeah.
with the extra stuff. And then it went through and it turned out that he was on the, he's on the scale for the Asperger autism scale.
Right.
For real.
So he has,
So he's a genius.
he's a lower, my little brother,
Yeah.
Brad,
Yeah.
most definitely.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a genius who will never stay in one spot. And I'll tell you right now, he's gone from traveling through Egypt, deciding that he wanted to fight for the Israeli army. And he was in the Israeli army for like 2 or 3 years.
Is he Jewish?
No. It's crazy. So, and that's just my little brother. That's
Yeah.
just how he is. I don't know if he likes it, but my mom worries about him every day because he's never in the country. I think the longest is he was in the country for a year in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I want to do medical services in Bangladesh. Like, he's just that type of person.
See, no, to me,
And that's
I
just
have a hard time saying that that's a mental illness.
well, not that
right?
part. There's still more to it, but
Yeah.
that's just how he is. He needs to be.
Yeah, because my concern is this, right? In normal society, there is a wide spectrum of quote-unquote normal human behavior.
Right.
Right? But that spectrum seems to be narrowing every year, right?
Yeah.
Where they seem to be diagnosing more, fringe behaviors, which are, on the bell curve of being normal.
And you got to look at
Right.
sorry to interrupt, but I think a lot of it, and I just maybe being kooky, but a lot of it definitely has to do with the diet that we have as well.
Oh yeah, no, we have a bad diet.
stuff.
We have so for example, and this is off topic of mental illness,
Yeah.
but I think it speaks to what could be causing mental illness. Humans are not designed to live in large metropolitan areas.
No, we're supposed to be in groups of 150.
We are designed to live in smaller villages or smaller communities. So once you start putting people in large metropolitan areas that we are literally not evolved to be in, then you're going to get a lot of aberrant behavior, right? Because we don't know how to cope, right? My coping mechanism is just being lazy, but that's also being Caribbean, right? So
I don't think it's a Caribbean thing. I think that's part of my
I'm dropping stuff off the wall. I'm
It's-
sorry.
that's partly my mechanism too, and I don't think it's being lazy, but I definitely disconnect myself from everything.
Yeah.
And being in a relationship and having kids and everything like that, I actually had to change my coping mechanism so I could allow people to be in.
Right.
Because it'd be like, and it's like, you know what though? I'm gonna say it like this, and I'm gonna pause it before it, but it's like I was menstruating.
right.
And when I got too much energy and humans, it was like a week
Right.
where I shut myself off from everything.
Yeah.
I'm in the bedroom. I'm not talking to anybody. She's like, "Oh, what did I do? Why are you mad at me? Now we're fighting."
Right.
The
You're not
kids are
actually
like,
mad
"Why
at her.
doesn't daddy
You just
love?" I'm
can't
not mad.
and you can't explain how you
I can't
feel.
explain why I feel
And
that
that's-
way. It's just like I just need to be away from.
Yeah, you need to unplug from the matrix for a little
For a
bit.
little
right?
bit, yeah.
Right, and so that
Recharge.
actually segues us pretty nicely into the
I
next
have
kind
one
of
more
topic.
thing about ADHD though.
Oh,
Vex just put me on some next shit.
okay.
Just real quick.
I'll wait.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I apologize.
You don't have to apologize for being
What do
good
we
at
at?
your job.
54.
We got lots of time.
You got 4 minutes left before I say it.
6 minutes.
6 minutes.
Math is hard.
What did I say?
4 minutes.
Mikey. Mikey's back.
Mikey's back. He
He is?
hasn't been in the studio yet.
Yet.
What an
We haven't
ass.
really addressed it in any of the group chats. But
We will. We will after tonight.
you will. I'll just back you up. I got you. But my son has
You ain't never got me, dog.
never. Only when it's right. And then when it's right,
true.
you don't need backing, dog. Like you're right. My son has
friends.
my son has ADHD. And he's on medication. He's not on the crazy medication. He's not on Ritalin. He's not on any behavioral submissive.
Submissive, yeah. Something that dulls him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Subversive? None of this sounds right. He's not on
yeah.
the behavioral submissive medication.
Right,
But
the
he
suppressive.
is suppressive. Thank
Yeah.
you. I knew it was I knew there was an if.
I got
I
you.
knew
I
there
got
was
you.
an if. See? Somebody's got me.
I got you.
That was your argument.
start.
But he is on medication that allows him to focus more.
Right.
So
Focusing.
focusing on it. Focus. I'm focused, man.
Yeah.
But this is years. Now, I'm a strong advocate. Like sometimes I even advocate against vaccines, which I'm always vetoed on that shit.
Yeah.
So I just lose that battle and then keep on moving. My kids are still alive. I'm happy. But
Wait.
no, we're not gonna talk about that. We'll talk about that. You want vaccines for next week?
Please.
At least 8 minutes.
I will destroy it.
Okay, I'm not here. I'm not setting up glass houses.
All right, go ahead.
Destroy, destroy whatever you want. I told you I always lose. It's been destroyed. You coming through Fallujah to throw a rock? Rock's been thrown, fam.
No, I think everybody should be
Niggas drop
vaccinated.
bombs on Fallujah. You coming through to break a rock. But it makes sense. Think about the euphemism.
Are you thinking about the
Yeah.
euphemism?
Yeah. So I told you.
I don't need to know. I'm working. We'll keep.
Okay.
Let's go on with the podcast.
Fallujah's destroyed. What are you destroying? My argument for
can you-
vaccination is destroyed.
We're not
what are you
talking
destroying?
vaccinations.
Dad damn it. I love being right. Even when I'm wrong.
No, I love-
You see how I was right even though I'm wrong? You
Right.
see how I was right when I was wrong?
Right.
Destroyed you. Next week we're not talking about shit.
I like vaccines. What are you talking about?
I drink it for breakfast. I don't know what I'm talking about because you keep talking to me. Like dead ass,
The
fam.
tangent is here. Welcome back.
This is not even a tangent. It's replies. What was I saying? My son
Yes.
has ADHD.
Why are you answering your question?
Because I asked it. My son has ADHD.
I think you got ADHD.
I probably do.
All right.
You want to
Your
give me
son-
some drugs?
Your son has ADHD.
Right. Now this is years, and his mother, God bless her. I should do this every podcast, but yo, shout out to every single mother. I don't have baby mothers. My babies have mothers.
You have
And-
mothers.
Yeah, and they're the most amazing people. All three of them are the most amazing people in the world. But my son's mom, she said, when we were still together, and when he was about 1.5, 2, maybe even 3, if you had a conversation with him, you would leave that conversation thinking that you ran through a maze.
Right.
And this is with the 3-year-old. He's about 3 years old. So, at 3 years old, he's putting shit together that you didn't think anybody would be able to put together.
Yeah.
And he's remembering shit.
Yeah.
He's telling us stuff about when he was a baby that I couldn't remember, stuff like that. But talking to him was like talking to me, but on like steroids.
Yeah.
3 words, and that third word would trigger a memory, and he'd jump into that. You dig what I'm saying?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Went through years and decided, okay, not that it's not normal, but this is not his structure of a sentence and a conversation wasn't clicking like it should at that age.
So you're speaking like Yoda.
Yeah, not even speaking like Yoda. Like he'd speak like 6 off a Blossom.
Damn.
But after every stanza, it'd be a new subject.
Yeah.
But the subject, you know, it was weird. So we took him to the doctor. First, they were saying ADHD. So, and they wanted to prescribe him this and this and this. And me and her were like, no, we're not gonna give him these drugs that are gonna turn him into a vegetable. No, I think we tried once and then we took him off like my mom did. We're like, no, he was sitting there drooling, and then there was no personality. These drugs had him on no personality. So he's been like this poor kid's been through a regimen.
Yeah.
But we found he's still prescribed some medication.
Yeah.
His personality blossoms in this medication, but you can tell when he's not on the medication and when he is, his focus. So this medication is like holding a magnifying glass in the sun and burning an ant. An ant's walking on the sidewalk perfectly fine in the sun. Mm-hmm. But you can take that same power of the sun, hold a magnifying glass, and burn the ant.
Right.
So his mind is like the sun, and it's touching everywhere. But this medication allows him to kind of slow down in his head to figure out what he wants to say.
To focus.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So now we have him in a different school too, and this school, its primary focus is art. So
Right.
there's still
you're channeling that energy into something specific.
So there's still arithmetic.
Right.
There's still social studies. Do we still call it arithmetic? Math. Okay.
I think but mathematics.
There's still that. There's still the core basics, but it's all art centric. So like, and you see this kid. I'll bring some next time. This kid's drawings is out of this world. Having conversations with this kid, you're like, is this really my son?
Right.
Like, he's so bright,
I like that.
and I think he's kind of like my brother. But my whole point was the ADHD is real, but in your case and in most parents' cases, and especially in the 80s when you have two working parents, but they don't have the time to kind of focus on what may be causing it. Mm-hmm. They made us take that first diagnosis and the first prescription and go with it. Now,
and see where it led, right?
The personality of the kid's gone, but at least I got some downtime.
Yeah.
Where me and her were like,
Yeah,
and
using-
even her
using
by
the
herself,
medication.
as a single mom.
She's like, this sucks. My kid's not here.
Dog, as a single mom, and if I ever have confetti, I gotta throw it in the fucking air for her. She's like, I would rather my kid be making me lose my mind than to sit and watch this child that's losing something.
That's sitting there drooling on himself. It's
Yeah,
horrible.
he would sit there and be like, and you have a conversation with him.
Catatonic.
Yeah. And I think the person, not even catatonic, like the personality was gone. You're talking to Alexa.
Right.
You know, you touched on something very interesting there.
That was long. I apologize.
No, it's fine. I know you said it was gonna be short. Your shorts are mine.
I never said it was gonna be short.
You did.
Oh wait, is it? Nigga.
God.
And continue.
I like how you just blatantly throw that shit out.
We could do a nigga every 60 minutes. No wait, pause.
Yeah, every 60 minutes. You can do a nigga every 60 minutes if you really want.
You need to work
no
on your
pause.
Tourette's.
Okay. You touched. I was gonna say you touched on something very. Pause. You touched on a topic that was really good there. What you said was your son is able to focus and his art is amazing. I don't know if it's just in my life or what I've seen, but I find most people with a mental disorder, like your son ADHD or even bipolar, those people have great instincts when it comes to art or being able to express themselves creatively. My sister is a wonderful artist.
Right.
There's and most artists, like sculptors and things like that I know that get huge and this, they all have some kind of, they're all quirky in a way, right?
Yeah.
Now I don't know if that's
Quirky.
a mental illness.
Quirky.
That's the word I'm using. I don't
You
know if
said
it's
quirky.
I said quirky.
Yeah, that's
Quirky.
Life Goes On. That's a Down syndrome
I didn't
kid
say
from that TV show from the 80s.
Quirky.
No, quirky.
Quirky. That's what am I saying?
Quirky.
I'm saying quirky.
No, quirky.
Thank you.
Quirky.
Shout air. Shout air.
Shout out.
Like tomato.
Say chowder.
Say chowder, French.
Shout air.
Chowder.
Sorry,
No,
fam.
so I mean, what I was going to go in before you got into that is that you actually segued very perfectly before that 10-minute story of what were the risk factors of mental illness, right? And this is from Canada.ca.
It's such a redundant website.
Right.
name.
I know.
I know, it's awesome. Did you see the smile on my face when I said it? So many factors cause mental illness.
is from
Contributing
calm.com.
factors include genetics, which are influenced by your family history, early life experiences such as abuse and trauma, stressful life events such as financial problems, a loved one's death, divorce, or environmental influences on a fetus such as exposure to drugs or alcohol, or your social, economic, and educational status. Now,
Nothing about diet or
that's it says there are many factors. These are just some.
Okay. Like
Now
how Canada's really ambiguous with shit.
I know.
well, I know it's
I love
It may
Well,
or may not be diet. It may or may not be how you
Right,
were brought
exactly.
up. It may
It may or may not be your subject.
you
yeah,
know,
we're not going to talk about the actual the national
Make your healthcare free if you feel down. See a doctor.
food chart. You know what the national food chart is? We're not going to talk about it.
It's not like it's not
No.
a triangle. Yo, when
It's
I
fucking
learned
horrible.
that what
It's
they taught
fucking
me in
horrible.
school
It's
was
disturbingly
wrong,
horrible.
I was like,
By the way,
breads aren't really that.
just on a caveat, my buddy Darren Travers is coming back into Canada December 16th. He's in France right now. He's going to be on this podcast just after the new year, talking about everything to do with health and diet, because I think we all need that in our
We
life.
do, absolutely.
So,
And Darren
it's
is
good.
a
And
good guy to-
Darren's fantastic to do it.
I want to talk to him because did you know that the national recommended intake of water isn't true? You're really supposed to drink just when you're thirsty and see if
No,
you
you're
drink
never
a little bit more.
you're never supposed to be thirsty.
Right. So if you feel thirsty, you're supposed to drink and then have a little bit more.
Yeah,
There's no 8 to 4 to 10 glasses of water.
8 to 10 glasses a day is weird. I drink at least 3 liters of water a day,
But there's So what they said though,
and I'm still thirsty.
I
All
can't
the time.
remember where I drink a lot of water too, and that's why I feel like I'm getting old because I get up to pee in the morning a lot, or like in the middle of the night. But
You're supposed to get up in the morning and pee.
thanks.
You're welcome.
You know you had the recommended doses of water?
Yeah, we're off on a tangent.
Yeah, we are. It's not true.
Actually, you know what? That's not a tangent, because water is actually a very big identifier of what kind of mental stability you have, right? Water in your body is actually one of the things that gets you to a point where you're able to, your brain functions and it's able to, what do they call it? The brain synapses are able to function properly, right?
Yeah.
Not having that lubricant, not having that conductor in your body actually triggers something that release. I don't know the science behind it. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I know I'm going to be fucking way off on this. It triggers something else in your body to be released, some hormone in your body to be released that affects your mental awareness, mental acuity, mental everything.
But have you ever
else,
been
right?
dehydrated?
Absolutely.
And you know that feeling when you're dehydrated? It's like euphoric but off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's what that is.
Yep.
A and B, that's why you're never supposed to drink seawater.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
the
because it
salt in the
dehydrates
seawater
you
dehydrates.
even more,
you.
yeah.
Exactly. But are you good?
Yep.
Okay.
I was can't remember what I was gonna say.
So I just want to talk about a little bit the physical effects, the physical health effects of mental illness, real quick.
Interesting.
So mental health is important to honor physical health. They directly affect each other, physical and mental health.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
People with physical health problems often experience anxiety or depression, which affects their recovery, no matter what kind of mental illness you have, right? Similar mental health factors can increase the risk of developing physical problems, like even diabetes, heart disease, or weight gain or loss. Okay. That being said, just because you're fat doesn't mean you have something wrong with you. And yes, I say fat because I fat shame everybody because I'm still getting fat now. I lost 130 pounds, so fuck all y'all.
Well, I wouldn't say because you're fat there's something wrong with you.
No,
wouldn't
that's what I
say-
said. That's what I said. Just because you're fat doesn't mean there's something wrong.
Yeah,
with you.
that's basically me saying
You could-
agreeing with you.
You could have just said I agree with you.
I don't want to.
You never want to say that.
That I
That's
agree
never
with
going to
you?
come out of your mouth
No.
at all.
I'm like a politician. I can agree with you, but
Nigga.
only if I say the same thing you said. No, I do agree with you, and you could go back to the tapes. I said it like 5 times in this fucking podcast. Sack of donkey dicks from the butcher.
I don't think you did.
On the table. I did, fam.
I'm going to listen
Go
to this
the
18
tape.
times before it's released. So
Yeah. Oh, I fucking hate you.
Okay.
I agree with you. Next subject. Like at the end of the day, I really
No, I
had
get it.
something to say.
I get it.
No,
Go
I
ahead, tell
really
me.
had something.
Go ahead,
I don't
tell
know
me.
what it is.
So you didn't have something to say. It wasn't concrete in your mind. Okay, I got it. So how is mental illness treated? That's the next thing we're going to go into.
Stones and stake burnings.
Yes.
Sounds good for the 1800s.
Yeah. Sounds good for Salem.
Yeah.
Sounds good for 1942 and
What was say the
Middle
Salem witch
East.
hunters? What 1776?
I don't know.
They never burnt. They
I
never
couldn't
burnt
sleep.
people.
They never
in
burned
Salem.
anybody in Salem.
No,
They had the
always
witch
drowned
hunters.
them.
They had the witch hunts in Salem, but they never actually burned anybody at the stake in Salem.
They didn't burn
Would
anybody.
Would they drown them?
I think they drowned them. I don't think
Absolutely.
they burned. They only burned like 2 people at the stake. In
And
general,
that-
I think one of them was
And
drowned.
it wasn't in Salem. It was actually in the UK.
Yeah, but Joan
Yeah.
of Arc, I don't think was a witch hunt necessarily.
No, that was
yeah.
a
That was
female
more like
kicking ass. They were mad.
heretic.
Yeah,
Right.
You know.
How's this female going to take over this? No, wrong. But
How
yeah,
is- how is mental illness treated? So most
Drownings
mental
now,
illnesses
right?
can be effectively treated by health professionals. And that being said, I really want to big up this big website. You can use it for texting or even on your computer.
All
It's
the
called
doctors-
Talkspace.
Yeah.
Go to Talkspace.com. They're not a sponsor. And in fact, I'm going to mention this. I'm going to mention them all the time on every single podcast we have, simply because they are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. What it
We
is
will have the links in the description.
I
as
will
well.
absolutely. What it is for less than, I think, half or a third of the price. You can text at anytime in the day, somebody and a therapist will, a registered certified therapist will text you back at all times. If you're scared to go in physically, if you can't make it in physically, this is something that can really help people. Go to Talkspace.com. They're great. Just sign up. Have your parents do it if you're under 18 or whatever. If you have a credit card, do it. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. These guys are, like I said, registered therapists in the United States, in Canada, anywhere in the world, really. Because I know we have a lot of listeners in Scotland and a lot of listeners in Australia, UK, all those guys. Listen, go to Talkspace.com. Get this handled. If you have any questions, concerns, they can handle anything you need.
Ooh.
Now, that being said,
let's change the name of this podcast from mental illness to mental health awareness.
Done. Okay. So how is mental illness treated? So you can either get done by health professionals or by community-based services. Yep. Now, there's a lot of free community-based services as well. As you guys know, I talked about on this podcast. I used to go to the Boys and Girls Club. Maybe not on this podcast. I Want to Smoke. They were really, really, really helpful with me in terms of my everyday struggles I had. However, when the one gentleman that I used to talk to all the time that I actually had confidence in and confided in, he actually had to move to Edmonton to be a cop. That really hurt me. It hurt me mentally and physically because I didn't feel his presence there and I wasn't centered all the time when I was there. So that actually put me into a worse state than when I first started going there. So make sure anybody you talk to is going to be there for you in the long term. Don't rely on somebody. Even though she sat me down and explained it to me, it still hurt me a long time. Just make sure you have somebody in your life that you can actually talk to, right?
In that vein.
Because talking is
talk to somebody professional.
A million %.
Even if you talk to a friend, if you talk to a family member, like at the end of the day, if anybody comes to talk to me, I will always be there to listen.
Right, but you'll always.
But my next step is going to be
refer them to somebody that can
talk to somebody professional. Right. Because what am I? I'll listen, and I'll have suggestions, but my suggestions might make you worse.
Right.
Because it depends.
If I love medically trained professional, right?
Yeah, exactly. So. And if I love you and you have feelings of such and such and such because someone did you wrong, I may reinforce those feelings and we both might be in shit. Yeah. But I'll definitely listen.
That's
but
true.
always talk to a professional because there's always going to be some kind of, even talking to a friend, there's always that something that
some things you don't know, right? And that's this is bringing us back to about half an hour ago. Excuse me. Unfortunately, because of the stigma of mental health, many people avoid or delay treatment. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to list off these 5 stigmas, and then I want to get into what they actually are as it pertains to us as men. Mm-hmm. Okay, so stigma is a negative associations made about certain behaviors, activities, people, qualities, or circumstances. Us 3 are grown-ass men, to put it in Cedric the Entertainer's words.
Right.
I'm a grown-ass man, dog. We have this stigma in society, especially in our cultures, about we have this pause game now. It's huge, right? You don't want to seem homophobic or you don't want to seem weak. You don't want to seem effeminate to anybody, any other man, right? You want to be known as the guy that is a man. He stands on his own 2 feet, doesn't have anything wrong with him. He's handling his business. To be a man doesn't mean you're just taking care of your family and you're taking care of business. It also means you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And to properly take care of your friends and family and everybody else in your life, you have to take care of yourself first. That's why when you're on a plane and it's going down, you put the fucking air mask on you first before you put it on your kid, right? It's very difficult to get past that, thought or that notion that you have to take care of everybody else first before you take care of yourself,
especially as a man.
Right? And not only that is that we have this thing about we don't share our emotions. We don't share how we feel with our friends, our very close confidants, because it's not manly, right? There's a stigma that it's not manly to be able to share your emotions. It took me a very long time. Hold on. It took me a very long time to get to the point where I am now, where I can look Will in his eyes, I can look John in his eyes, and I can tell him exactly how I feel about a situation, positive, negative, otherwise. And have them look at me in my eyes and tell me how they feel about that situation, what they feel I should do, or if they have a problem with me, or if they see something in me, like it happened in the last 2 weeks. I would have taken, if this was 10 years ago and you said that to me, I would have been like, fuck you, I'm a man. I can do what I want, right?
And I would have been like, cool, okay, just don't fuck up the podcast and the business.
Right? So there's this stigma There's a stigma that we can't talk to each other. There's a stigma that we don't have deep intellectual conversations. There's a stigma that if we do, we're considered weak and we have no power. We're not a man anymore.
You know, I agree and I disagree with that. I think the idea that of the idea of the stoic man, right? The guy that, you know, is just an emotionless action person,
Right.
is incorrect. But the flip side of that, I think the push towards the emotional man is detrimental to masculinity. Now let me clarify that before you know, some people jump in.
I know where you're going. Go ahead.
Right? Men can very easily discuss what they want to discuss and discuss it well, right? Hence the reason why historically there were so many men's only clubs, right? The problem with the thinking now is, and this is off on a tangent, but apologies in advance. What they're trying to do is feminize the way men think. Men are not
yeah.
men, and you know what? People are gonna say, "Oh, hashtag not all men," or "You're being you're generalizing," or whatever the hell, right? Historically, biologically, mentally, men are not emotional creatures to the same degree that women are. Right. So now, are there communities and subsections of communities that take it too far? Absolutely. Right. Where you're not allowed to discuss anything, right? There's definitely that type of subgroup in every community.
So,
right?
but would you say? I feel like I'm the old Jewish rabbi.
Yeah.
Now, but would you say?
How was that accent, dog?
Now, would you say just a schmiggin? Being a logical creature, with discussing your emotions with another logical creature, to get a logical answer and conclusion and understanding to deal with it, be a logical answer.
That's not what he's saying. He's saying
No, I'm not. I know what he is saying,
Okay.
but we're gonna add the extra onto that so everybody else knows what he's saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're not saying as men start crying like blithering idiots and then act. So he's saying men are not emotional creatures, or logical creatures. Not that men don't feel emotion, but men should act off of logic.
Well, not necessarily, but yeah,
For the most part,
Yeah.
generalization.
yeah.
Okay, so men act off of logic.
Yo, you gotta get looser fitting hats, dog.
Why it's tight around my head, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
got like a
that's-
red band around your bald ass head right now.
Well, that's what happens when you wear a hat.
Okay. No, not with me.
Okay. Well, you can wear them. Your Harlem World fucking 4 46/8 fucking
Stop.
new era
I was
fitteds.
just pointing one
looking
thing
like
out. Just stop,
Cameron
just stop.
on
You're
the
okay.
cover of
You're
fucking
okay.
Harlem
Calm down
World.
there. Calm
Blinky
down there.
blink.
Pink.
Fucking can't stop, won't stop. Live at the Apollo with your oversized everything.
But did you hear Jim Jones' new album? Fucking dope.
it is.
Anyways, go ahead.
So the over feminine. So what we have to do is find the happy medium, so to speak, where men can still like like you said, those men's clubs back in the day were an outlet for men to not be emotional, but discuss a bunch of different things, emotions included.
well,
Were
know
they
they
were they discussing emotion, or
come
were they
to
just drinking and smoking cigars? back then?
logical,
Probably both.
yeah.
You think
know?
you think they were actually having emotional
Absolutely,
conversations?
but
Not
here's
even
the
like
thing.
an emotional
Here's the thing,
conversations, just like,
right?
yo, such and such pissed me off. This is what happened. What should I
Right,
do?
we need to really define what an emotional conversation is and how it pertains naturally to men.
Put my hat back on.
Right? So, for example, right, there have been studies done on newborns, right? And by and large, newborn males gravitate towards they get fixated on mechanical items, whereas newborn females fixate on human faces, right? And this is across the board. It's been replicated many times.
a million times, yeah.
Right? So there is already, even from birth, and this is taking out any type of environmental factor. There are already differences in the way men and women think. Right? Now, my concern is this, and I was actually going to ask you a question. If you can find a statistic on
I can do anything.
Yeah, the amount of ADHD diagnosis for boys versus girls. Right?
Oh,
because
shit.
because
Oh,
boys and girls
shit.
think differently, right? Regardless of
it's
how
gonna be more for boys.
Oh, absolutely. I'm betting on it. Right?
So-
Okay.
So now here's
Okay,
the thing.
here it is.
Hold on, before you
Right.
continue, before you bust the information here. I think by trying to by framing it as men need to express their emotions more, there's a a subtext to that is saying that men need to express their emotions like women. We don't express our emotions like women. Right? So here's the thing. By forcing men to express emotions in a way that is not natural to how we are made, then we might be causing more mental illness.
I agree.
And it's not only think men should be expressing emotion like women. Men should just discuss how they feel with other men and come to a logical conclusion.
Right. We don't listen. We're fundamentally different as genders. Yeah. What you address me as a man and say, listen, I recognize this in you, and you left it at that. You still left me to make my own choices. You didn't give me any advice. You said this is what I see happening.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you told me what you told me.
I said okay. This is, and then at the time, yeah, and I was wrong when I addressed you.
I still watched.
Right.
I knew you were wrong. I still watched.
And
like,
that's the thing. That's the thing. You have to. For men,
when you fall, dog.
Right.
Like,
so men have to let other men make their own decisions. That's a fundamental difference in men and women. Women look for somebody else's advice and take their advice upon them, and men should kind of do it too. But men have this agreement with themselves, saying, "We are men. We always know the right decision."
Yeah.
Right. And that's more ego. That's ego and all this bullshit coming in with men. Too. Right. I want to get into this study. This is from the ADHD Institute .com. ADHD-institute.com. ADHD is more commonly diagnosed in adult males compared to adult females. A worldwide meta-regression analysis of 11 studies of adults with ADHD found that although the ratio of males to females with ADHD decreased with age, a gender difference was still present in adults aged 19 years and over. So it doesn't have anything for below adult age.
Right.
But
just on that website.
That being said, it's 1.6 to 1. Okay, so it's not quite 2 to 1.
Right.
It's 1.6 males to every 1 female.
And this is adults though.
This is adult.
Have you ever met a female with ADHD?
One.
I don't think I've ever met.
I've met one, and it was wrongly diagnosed.
Right.
then
she didn't have it.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
But, so here's the thing, right?
What was wrongly diagnosed? The ADHD or the gender?
Gender.
Oh.
Wow.
What? It was weird.
Okay. Anyway, that being said,
no joke, dog. I'm being serious. It was weird.
This is what I fear is happening, right? And this is why I asked you, what do you think the bell curve of normal behavior is, right? Because this is what I think is actually happening. I believe that there is, and this is going to sound a little conspiratorial.
I was waiting for him to go off, and I can't wait. I mean, let's go.
Right? This is what I believe is happening. I believe that the pharmaceutical companies are pushing for more diagnoses so that they can make more money. Right?
That 100%.
That being said, that being said, normal male child behavior is rambunctious.
Yeah, rowdy.
It's rowdy, right? Males are biologically designed to be the warriors and defenders of their tribe, right?
The peacockers to show off the females.
Right? So what we naturally do as boys is run around and get in fights and get in scrapes and, blah, blah, blah. That's what we are suited to do, right? So what I fear is happening with ADHD in particular, but with a lot of other diagnoses in general, is you're having these diagnoses given that are not accurate. Right? Now, with ADHD in specific, I think a lot of the times you're having parents who are unable to control their unruly children. Now, think of it this way.
Parents and gotta include teachers too sometimes.
Yeah, now let's and again, this is completely anecdotal, right? Growing up in Trinidad, I never saw one case of ADHD. Right? The reason being, you can spank your kids, your relatives could spank your kids, your teachers could spank your kids.
Somebody unknown down the street in the market can fucking spank your kids.
They spank you, right? All of a sudden, spanking is outlawed. And all of a sudden, you have this rise in ADHD diagnosis.
Because there's no control of the kids.
They have no discipline for children whatsoever.
How much refined sugar is in Trinidad, if you think about it? Not that much.
Oh, we have a lot of sugar cane.
No, you have a lot of sugar cane.
Not refined sugar.
But how much refined?
There's a difference.
No, here's the other thing, right? The diet, the diet of the typical Trinidadian child is usually apples, oranges, mangoes.
Right, so natural
bananas,
sugars, And natural sugars affect the body a lot differently than refined sugars, right?
Absolutely.
Which I can't wait to have Darren Travers on here. So
that's just my question.
Right? So, but what I actually see here is the drop of discipline mandated by the government and the rise of ADHD as the result, right? Boys are going to be boys. Boys are going to be rambunctious. That's just how we are made, right? If you're unable to control your child, don't medicate them immediately. In fact, use medication as the last resort, right? Because you don't know what type of permanent damage you're doing to this child's brain.
Yeah, and that's exactly, and that's why I brought up my brother and my son.
Yeah.
Because my brother, it was two different cases, but not my son. It didn't go to the doctor because we couldn't control him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There wasn't the rambunctiousness. It wasn't that he was off the wall. Like that's the boys will be boys thing. You know what I'm saying? But just the conversations with this young man.
Yeah, but maybe his brain just operates differently, right? Now,
it most definitely does. But his brain does need an outside force to help it focus properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I'm not going to speak to your experience because I don't know your son, right? But
he's cool. You should get to know him.
Yeah. But in general, right, coming from a place that, you know what, we
Beat your son up, no?
we have beaches and we have a lot of natural foods and whatever, right? Coming from a place like that where medicating a problem is not necessarily widespread.
Right.
And then coming here and every single thing is medicated. I have a headache, let me put a pill in my body. I have my toe hurts, let me put a pill in my body. It is a destructive mindset.
Oh,
because
most definitely.
humans are literally not made to take drugs.
Man, we're not made to take synthetic drugs.
Exactly.
So, but then we got to look on the other side where it's like, how many cases in places like Trinidad and other places where you have there's Crazy Ted, and you know it's Crazy Ted that's in the street.
And we have quite a few of legitimate crazy people.
That if they were properly diagnosed and did have the proper medication, wouldn't be Crazy Ted. They might be Wall Street Ted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's always the flip,
doubt, right?
The
and
flip on that too.
I think with the case of how it's done in the Caribbean, and it's not the best. I will never say it is the best, right? In the Caribbean, we look at mental illness in a certain way, right? If you are detached from reality, then you are mentally ill, right? Anything to that point, that's where we draw the line. You're not mentally ill, right? You might have a problem. It might not be a mental illness, so to speak. And it reminds me of an old joke I heard.
You are an old joke.
Thank you.
I heard about you too.
Yeah.
You are an old joke.
Yeah.
This motherfucker is just waiting for a chance to cuss another motherfucker. I heard no joke. Well, you are no joke.
Sometimes you just have to
Hello,
say it.
Pee Wee Herman.
Your mother. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like,
Now, here's the thing: is I love both you guys. No pause on that. I love both you guys, so I can joke with y'all.
Yeah, but no, it's the whole, guy walking by the madhouse, and there's a guy at the fence of the madhouse looking out, and he sees dude walking, and he calls him over. He's like, "Hey, I have something to tell you." So homeboy walks up to the madman on the other side of the fence, and the madman goes, if you want, I can get you out of there. Right? It's the whole, like, you're completely detached from reality. The madman doesn't know he's in the asylum, right? And in the Caribbean, we still have asylums. In Trinidad, it's St. Anne's. In Jamaica, it's Ward 21, right?
We have Panoka. We still got Panoka?
We do have Panoka, yeah. Panoka is an actual town based around a mental health institute.
But I mean,
they've obviously changed the description of the place, but
with because Canada, you have to be nice.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? At the end of the day, I think being nice is not necessarily the best course of action sometimes.
I think with labeling it, you can be nice, but with the treatment of it, you still treat the shit out of it. But I think labeling it, be nice.
You gotta be good, not necessarily the expense of reality.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean,
you could change asylum to mental health center.
Exactly. And then of course there's that whole, like, what we went into last week with those words that are now not allowed. You can't say insane. You can't say crazy. You can't say no. I'm gonna say you're an insane, crazy person. Because those are English words, and just because you feel offended doesn't mean they're offensive.
I'm gonna say it because it's an English word,
right?
Now, insane in French, I'm not gonna say that shit. Yeah. But that definitely and just listen to that and talking about the Crazy Ted in Trinidad and the whole flip side of everything like that. We're at 128. It leads me to, I agree with you on that case where it's like you're only crazy if you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you have the most sporadic and irrational behavior, but you cannot recognize or you cannot see that some of your behavior is sporadic or irrational, illness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
If you have sporadic irrational behavior, you can see that some of that that behavior is that.
Yeah.
And you want to get it treated. Someone reaches out to you and you're like, yes, maybe you're right. That means you have, maybe you're not have an illness, but maybe it's sickness.
Yeah.
And you want to get it treated. And then on the flip side, and then there's one more.
Mm-hmm.
You have all that sporadic arrhythmia, you recognize it and you don't want to treat it.
Mm-hmm.
That means you need to go to Arkham Asylum.
Well, there's some things I want. I'm glad we touched on all the serious topics here. We're about an hour and a half in. There's a few things I want to touch on. Well, maybe one last topic before we get out of here. There's a lot of things in today's society that are considered mental illness. Mm-hmm. And I kind of want to touch on those. I don't know if you guys know any of the newest, kind of craziest ones they're talking about. So the newest one,
Yeah, let's hit him up.
the newest one that I heard, and they're
Are we giving an opinion on these, or you just telling
oh
us?
no, we're absolutely giving an opinion on this.
Okay.
The newest one I heard is pedophilia being a mental illness.
It always has been a mental illness.
Go.
It's a mental illness.
It always has been.
It's fucked up, and it's definitely a mental illness.
So, but they're trying to not mentally illness it.
They're trying to make it a mental illness so it's treatable and not condemnable.
Not criminal.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're still gonna make it criminal. Mm-mm. No, they're gonna make
They want
the
to
act.
decriminalize.
No,
there's groups that are trying
who's
to.
we?
There's group.
No,
We've been through this.
There
No,
are
dog,
groups.
We've been through this.
There
We've
are
been through
groups
this.
trying
We've
to
been through this.
decriminalize
We've
it.
been through this. There is not. There is groups that are infiltrating other groups to make sure it's decriminalized to cause a gray cloud over that specific group. There's no real group that's trying to decriminalize it, but you can look it up. It's in there. There's in there of groups saying that should be decriminalized. This is not real. This is the equivalent to Russia infiltrating American politics.
I don't know. I think NAMBLA is actually very, very much trying to push for it being decriminalized.
But are they pushing for it to be decriminalized, or there's people that are going into so
New York Times.
So there's really the New York Times.
Pedophilia, a disorder, not a crime.
Which group is this?
I would say
So-
NAMBLA.
What's NAMBLA?
No, so
The
it is.
National Man Boy Love Association or something
Okay,
like that.
don't give me a group that's based off of fucking children just telling me. Of course, dog. I'm talking
Well, you mean like in the medical profession?
in the medical profession. I'm talking about there's people that are infiltrating the LGBTQ
Yeah.
that are saying that it should be da-da-da, and people are saying, well, they're advocating for this kind of child love shit, and it's not them. I'm not talking about, let's like saying, such and such is racist. Well, KKK says that's racist.
I agree.
Yeah, the KKK is a racist.
I agree.
Okay, no,
So,
I
well,
misunderstood that.
yeah,
I thought
yeah,
you
it's
said
my
they
fault.
were
So what
doing
they're
that.
trying to say is that
Who's they?
this is so.
Don't give me the New York Times. The New
The
York Times
diagnosis,
also told me.
the Diagnostics and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders defines pedophilia as an intense and recurrent sexual interest in prepubescent children, and a disorder if it has caused a person marked distress or in interpersonal difficulty, or if the person acts on his interest. Yet our laws ignore. Why is it a man? Yet our laws ignore pedophilia until after the commission of a sexual offense, emphasizing punishment, not prevention. Part of this failure stems from the misconception that pedophilia is the same as child molestation. One can live with pedophilia and not act on it. Sites like Virtuous Pedophiles provide support for pedophiles who do not molest children and believe that sex with children is wrong. It is not that these individuals are inactive or non-practicing pedophiles, but rather that pedophilia is a status and not an act. In fact, research shows that half of all child molesters are not sexually attracted to their victims.
Okay, now this.
No, I don't know.
Listen, wait,
I was trying to agree.
this-
That almost agrees with you.
almost agrees with me. Now we're going to choose our words very, very carefully.
You can.
This is a very, very sensitive topic,
Right.
Because it deals with the most vulnerable people in our society.
Agreed.
I'm talking about the children.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah, not the
goddamn.
pedophiles,
I'm
yeah.
like, please.
So, things in this, apart from the actions that I agree with, there are probably people out there who have these urges that don't act upon them.
Yep.
There's probably people out there who have these urges, don't act upon them, and are scared as fuck to talk to anybody because of what these urges are.
Right.
B. C. If you have the sexual urge towards any living being that is not developed by puberty over the. I mean, at the end of the day, you
That's
can't
not-
say.
that's
Wait,
sexually
wait, wait.
mature.
Listen,
Yeah, you can't say that doesn't look sexually mature. You can't say. Hold no, I'm not done. You can't say over
know.
18 because niggas have been caught in the fucking club with these underage dumbass fucking
R.
bitches.
Kelly.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
R. Kelly wasn't caught in the club. R. Kelly's a fucking pedophile. Fuck R.
A
Kelly.
peeing
peeing pedophile.
Yo, I just want to say, make it quick because I actually want to touch on this
Okay.
on a future topic.
So that if you have those urges, it's a mental disorder. But because of the extremity of that specific disorder, because of the stigma around it, and because of what the fuck that disorder is, a lot of it goes untreated, unrecognized, and unlooked at because of it.
Yeah.
So are you saying that if we should, and I just want clarification. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
If they're trying to classify this as a disorder, and it is classified as a disorder, but if they're saying decriminalize it and call it something else and try to hold on, and try to treat the
Decriminalize
people
what?
and try to
Decriminalize what?
pedophilia.
No. Now, are we talking about decriminalizing the action
Oh, no.
or decriminalizing the urge?
Okay, let me
Because
get to my
only-
point.
stop,
Let me
hold
get to
on,
my
I just
point. Let me
know.
ask my question first, then you can rebut
Your
me.
question's taking long. My question is, what are they decriminalizing?
Stop.
What are they
That's what I'm-
decriminalizing? The action or the urge?
That's what I'm getting to.
No,
that's-
that's just you could get to it by answering my question. Are they decriminalizing the action or the urge? I don't want the whole
I'm not-
fucking long
Okay,
spiel.
relax.
Action or urge?
Relax.
Action or urge?
If you give me 2 seconds, I was going to say urge.
Okay.
Now, hold on.
The
Wait,
urge
let me finish
is
my
not
fucking question.
criminalized.
Let me finish. What I'm saying is this is clearly saying that pedophilia is an intense and recurrent sexual interest, right? And a disorder if it causes a person marked distress or it gives it difficulties. When the person acts on his interests, it's marked as distress or interpersonal difficulty. Right, so what I'm saying to you,
Nowhere in there's I hear anything about decriminalization.
right? This is just an opinion piece from the New York Times.
Okay.
What I'm asking you is, do you believe that if we are able to, if there was no stigma attached, if these people are able to come out of the wings or out of the woodwork and say, yes, I have this mental illness, I have this disorder, you think we are able to treat them in a way effectively to have it not be such an issue in today's society? That's what I'm not disagreeing with you. That's what I was just trying to understand.
But so there's two different questions in there that you asked.
Right. I'm saying
You asked me one question. You said what I'm trying to ask you. So the first question is, do you think that decriminalizing this, and then that's where I needed to stop. What do we?
Okay, no, I understand. So I misspoke.
I know that.
I
So
misspoke.
now, okay, you misspoke, but I'm asking you, what are we decriminalizing?
I take decriminalizing out of it.
Okay, cool. Now,
Removing the stigma.
do I think the stigma will ever be removed?
No, what I'm saying is if we are able
I'm
to
breaking
take
down. If we take,
if we're able to take the stigma out and see these people as people that are mentally ill and be able to treat that, do you think that is something that will have a sharp decrease or decline in society of the pedophilia, the act of pedophilia?
Let me put it like this: the stigma will never be gone
Because it deals with children. But let's say
let me
50,
keep
100
going.
years
Okay,
we can get rid of
let
it.
me keep going. The stigma will never be gone.
All right. Ever. Okay.
But at the end of the day, that doesn't mean it can't be looked at and treated. Now, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know.
You look like a doctor.
I do?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me operate on you. Then we'll see who's a doctor. You need a
calling for a
you still need a gallbladder? Hold on.
No, you don't need a gallbladder. Actually, you live with that one.
I don't know. The stigma will never
aren't
be.
a doctor.
The stigma. I just play one on TV.
lad.
Play one on a podcast?
The stigma will never be gone. Okay. I don't know if that is something that can be treated. Okay. But at the end of the day, regardless, my thing is, if people, you don't need to come out publicly. This does not need to be a public thing.
No, I'm not saying publicly.
This doesn't
ever,
need to be something where the stigma needs to be gone. But if somebody has these urges and they go to a doctor and the doctor medicates the shit out of them or does whatever the fuck they do,
and
these urges are never acted upon.
But they turn into a drooling, bumbling idiot.
Regardless, if they didn't, they would be acted upon. I don't care what they fucking turn into.
Okay.
If they go, it may have to go through the ADHD shit in the 80s. But if they go to a doctor and the doctor, whatever, and they get whatever the fuck it is, and these urges are never acted upon, that makes the world a better place. The action is what destroys the world.
And let me be a million percent clear.
What?
Let me be a million percent clear. All three of us are 100% against pedophilia. The act of pedophilia.
Most definitely.
Absolutely.
I am not against. I'm not necessarily against the person if it is a recognized disease. But going back to your very first point from the very first time in this podcast is that you will not recognize a mental disease if you have one, or a mental illness if you have one, is what you were getting at earlier, right? So I think, and I didn't mean to catch you in something.
That's levels.
I know. I didn't mean to catch. I didn't want to catch you in anything. What I was trying to say. Hold on.
But I was in the middle of my shit. How you gonna interrupt my shit, say your shit, and then tell me to hold on?
Just hold on, because what I'm saying is, I wasn't trying to catch you in any kind of lie. I understand there's levels to it, right? But if you're saying that people cannot recognize they have an illness, except for this illness, does that make it an illness? You understand? Does that work? That works, right?
I know what you're saying.
Okay.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Okay.
Alcoholism and drug addiction are a mental illness. They're not a disease or anything. They're a mental illness.
False.
Is it?
Yeah.
If you take heroin and you stop taking heroin, it's not your body telling you need heroin, is it? It's your mind making your body sick until you take heroin.
I think heroin is a physical addiction.
No, it's not. It's your brain. Everything. It's controlled by your brain.
I don't. There's no physical or mental addiction.
It's
for
to
me.
Heroin.
I don't know about heroin. I know about cocaine.
Okay, so why are you answering that shit like you know? I said to heroin, and you said no.
They're both drugs.
Okay,
I would figure they would affect you the same way.
Okay,
like they're both class A drugs.
Heroin,
or class 1 drugs.
If you stop taking heroin,
right,
you get sick.
Right. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Dope sick.
Right. I'm not disagreeing with you.
And that's not physical. It's mental. Your brain is telling your body that you need that back. And your brain is putting your body into seizures. Your brain is making your body sick. There's nothing inside of your body that's physically making you sick. It's your brain saying the lack of what's in your body is physically making you sick. You can still have that mental illness and be aware of it. I'm saying with the example of schizophrenia, with the example of a bunch of different other ones, if you recognize that, I just said mental illness to be politically correct, but at the end of the day, crazy people don't know they fucking crazy. Can I put it like that? Does that make sense?
Right, but in the same
if you
breath,
like kids, you ain't crazy.
In the same breath, if
you like kids, you're not crazy.
Right, but
you're sick.
Right, but how do they know they're not crazy, and how do they know they're not sick? Is what I'm saying.
If you want to suck a 3-year-old's dick, you know you're sick.
But I know, I understand how we're looking at it. We're looking at it from the standpoint of us.
I'm not going to consult a pedophile.
No,
I'm not consulting a pedophile to see how his mind's working.
Shut up.
If you want to suck a little dick, you're a little sick.
Right, hold on. What? Good.
Dead ass.
I like that. What I'm saying is I'm trying to look at this from outside the box, right? I understand how we look at it. I understand that 100%, and I agree with how I see it, right? I'm trying to give a different perspective on this, right? So if you are a pedophile and you think it's 100% okay to have these feelings,
pedophiles
you're not
give excuses and they don't care. They don't.
No, stop. You don't know that. Are you a pedophile?
No, I'm not a pedophile, dog. I watch documentaries on this shit. There's pedophiles that speak on this shit.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, if you are
Jeffrey Dahmer,
if you are a pedophile and you have these thoughts and you think it's okay to have these thoughts and act upon them, but you don't think anything is wrong with you, you're obviously not being socialized to a normal world.
No, you
right?
You are being socialized to a normal world. You're just blocking that out.
Exactly. So in their eyes, they're not seeing it as normal. This is what their normal is different from our normal. So in their eyes, it's normal, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So,
okay,
how are they going to know that it's a mental illness if they think it's normal?
Dog, because they don't think. Okay. You're asking me to put my feet in the shoes of a pedophile. This is extremely hard to do. Motherfuckers who want to fuck. Okay? Motherfuckers that want to fuck dudes. Motherfuckers that want to fuck animals. Motherfuckers that want to fuck 18 girls. Motherfuckers that can only get hard when they're raping. Motherfuckers that want to fuck children. They know, based off of societal morality, that this shit is wrong. For the most case, they do not care. You know why? Because they hide their fucking actions.
Here's the issue.
Stop. Not one proven case of a pedophile, of a rapist, of a serial killer did it and then publicly spoke, displayed, or did it with their face in it. That's how they know. Because they do it under secrecy of I'm in a position of power. If you tell anybody, I will kill you. If you do anything, this is going to happen. They took steps to hide it. That's how you know they know. Because they take steps to hide it.
Okay.
From the point of motherfuckers, fuck pedophilia, serial killers. That's a mental illness.
Yeah.
Sociopaths are a mental illness, but they take the steps to hide it. Okay. Regardless if they don't know the right and wrong, they know the societal norm and morality norm well enough to hide it, to bury the bodies in their basement.
Okay, so my next question is, if they know the societal norms and still choose to act upon it, does that make them a criminal, or does that make them mentally ill?
If I sat here, both, nigga. There's no what? Because 145.
Well, here's the thing.
Dog,
Wait, stop. Before you answer, let me just emphasize on something here. In the Canadian criminal justice system, you can either be criminally ill, or you can be mentally ill, or criminally criminally insane. I think it's how they classify it here. Or you could be criminally negligent, or
not criminally
whatever it is,
responsible.
not criminally
Not
responsible,
criminally
whatever is here,
Don't
right?
get me started on that bullshit. That's
or
not
you
even,
or you could be, or you could know what you were doing 100% of the time and be charged with a crime. So what I'm saying is they cannot be both in the eyes of the law.
No,
Well,
you can
but
still be
here's the thing,
charged.
here's the
Let me
thing.
tell you about this motherfucker.
Regardless of whether it's in the eyes of the law or not, the law is not always reflective of what reality should be and what reality is, right? So I never bring up in the eyes of the law, because that is always, it's always meandering, and it's always, well, this defense lawyer came up with this defense and he got off scot-free, or some nonsense, right? So there's always a way to weasel out of it. Those are what I would consider weasel words.
Right.
Well,
Okay.
think about it this way. Think about
I'm
this
going to let
way.
you say what you have to say. Then we're going to move on, guys.
The kid. Well, you asked me a question.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to let you say what you have to say.
That kid that walked into that house party full of kids, and I think I used that in this podcast, and stab up everybody,
or whatever,
not criminally responsible, because the devil told him, or whatever,
Yeah.
You still killed 5 or 6 people.
Yeah, where do you draw the line?
And he was criminally found not criminally
responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he got a little
crazy
bit of time in the hospital, and now he's walking around free in Edmonton, or maybe halfway house under supervision. So I mean, and at the end of the day, this is where it is. Maybe you're not criminally responsible. So where do we see these warning signs of someone who? Where's these warning signs? Because if he was not criminally responsible, that leads me to believe that someone was not paying attention to this young man enough to prevent this from happening.
Yeah.
So that means somebody is criminally responsible for not
someone is
helping this human. For not helping this human.
Right.
Because if he would have got the help needed before this happened, maybe it wouldn't happen.
Exactly, and that's the thing, is we have to start recognizing that takes us back. That circles us back nicely. Is to, again, he was a male, right? Us being able to talk with our friends about it. Maybe he didn't have people to talk to about it. Maybe it just didn't recognize the signs. And that's one of the things that you look at. You're like, okay, we have to be able to recognize signs in each other and stop being so focused on ourselves and stop being so damn selfish and realize what's going on with other people. Maybe sometimes, right? I want to leave you guys. Have any closings?
Clothing? Yes, I'm wearing
You
clothing.
have any closings on mental illness? I want to get in. I'm going to take about 10 minutes here and read something else. I want you guys closings before I actually
God of
close.
mercy, 10 minutes.
Well, maybe not 10 minutes. No, it's probably going to be
Right
about
near the beach.
Yeah.
probably about 4 or 5 minutes.
of
But anyways,
fucking
I want to read the next thing because it's very interesting to me. Closings, Will.
Yeah, there's a reason. We should have a part 2, but there's
We are
reasons
definitely going to.
behind why I don't do any drugs, and that's because I want to be held criminally responsible for anything I do.
Okay, no, true.
That's not even a joke.
Yo,
That's
where's
not even
Bond?
a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to know exactly
Yeah.
what you're doing at all times. I understand.
Yeah. I want you at your best.
Yeah.
When I beat you down.
I want to be on my not
You
even
know?
when I beat someone down, but I want to be at my most aware so I don't. You know?
Yeah.
There's been times when we coke whatever, and
Right.
you black out and you wake up and you're just in the field with 8 cows and a motherfucking milkmaid, and you're like, what's going on? Where's the Madeiraland? You know what I'm saying? Like, shit happens.
Mental illness. You want to close up on that?
Mental illness.
That's the top.
If you feel,
mental health awareness.
if you feel if you see, if you notice, talk, discuss, address. That's all I gotta say.
100. Kobo.
Not much to close, really. Mental illness isn't something I've really studied or really considered. I think, from my limited perspective, if you are out of touch with reality, objective reality, then you are mentally ill. I also think in the case of, for example, pedophilia, there are certain types of behavior, regardless of whether a person acts on them or not. If they are feeling certain types of behavior, they need to A, seek treatment very quickly, and B, stop justifying it, and C, society at large needs to understand that there are indicators of behavior that are detrimental to society in general, right? So someone who is a serial killer, who might be a complete sociopath, that is an indicator that there's a very good likelihood that this person will commit a violent crime. Right? So rather than coddle, let's not sugarcoat things. Let's call a spade, and let's deal with things in a logical manner. Mm-hmm. Right? That's my closing.
All right. I want to thank you guys both for that. Listen, we had a pretty intense discussion here about mental illness, mental health awareness. And I just want to go over, I found the list. It's on livescience.com. And it's the top 10 controversial psychiatric disorders, which obviously...
Are these current?
These are current. So top 10... and I'm gonna start from number 10, I guess, or I don't even know if they're in order, but I'm gonna give you a list of 10, and then I'm gonna close us out and call it a day. Number 10, gender identity disorder,
gender dysphoria.
All right, and then sex addiction.
Mm-hmm. I can attest to that.
You can.
100%.
Homosexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Asperger's disorder.
Mm-hmm. No.
It's controversial. I'm just naming this off. I don't want anything going on. Childhood bipolar disorder.
Yes, you didn't say nothing. I say no. You're like, oh, don't say that.
Adult ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
Dissociative identity disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Narcissistic personality disorder.
Right.
I don't think that's well, yeah, maybe.
And then penis envy.
Penis envy.
So
What is penis
that's
envy?
it.
Don't you have to see another dick to be envious of it? Are you envious of the dick? Are you envious of who the dick's attached to? Even envious of the pussy dick's going into?
I
don't know.
I think
Listen,
penis envy is something that women experience.
I literally just wanted to.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah.
So what is penis envy?
No, I don't want to. No, well, I literally wanted to end it off with those because those are
wish they had
actually
a penis?
all 10 of those will be a topic of
Dead
further
wrong.
discussion for every one of our podcasts coming up in the next little bit.
I've
here.
watched porn where I'm like,
Can you shut up for a second? Again, mental illness, guys, mental health awareness. There doesn't need to be a month. There doesn't need to be a week where we address all this. We need to do it every day. Guys, listen, talk to your friends. And you don't have to be pretend you're, having a deep emotional talk. So, yo, you good? And if he says, yeah, okay, cool. Mark the little things in your mind about what they do. And if you see something being excessive over something, you have to address that. You have to let them know that you do see it and keep them accountable for themselves. If you do notice something in your friends that maybe is quite off and they don't see it in themselves, suggest some help. And again, the first place you go, and again, we're not sponsored by this, go to Talkspace.com. Anywhere in the world you can access registered or PhDs in therapy 24 hours a day. They'll text you back. You can get the app on your phone, whatever you need. It's cheap. It's a third of the price. I'll have to put the link in the description. Again, guys, you need to focus on your mental health and be 100% accountable for yourself, and then get help if you need it. You need to address these issues in a way in society that does not affect society negatively. Help yourself. Get some therapy. Will Hayes and myself have definitely had therapy in the past. Kobe probably needs some. But,
always.
And with that, I think we're going to end this off. Let us know what you think. To get a hold of us, like I said in the beginning, a lot of people have been asking how they can support us, help support the show. We don't need financial support from you. We need actually reviews from you. Wherever you listen to the podcast, read review, 5-star or 1-star. Either way, we're going to say thank you for it, as long as it's constructive criticism. So go do that wherever you listen to it. iTunes, Google Play, anywhere you can kind of rate us. Apple, I think, is probably the best for us. And that's it, man. Hit us up, Digital Diamond Network at gmail.com. Hit us up on the Facebook group, the Podcast Dish Podcast. Instagram and Twitter are podcast_ISH. And Will Hayes is off Facebook. That's it. We out this motherfucker.